I have 4 great adult children.
Awesome.
It's definitely in the community. And he did run for Senate 2 years ago, what?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So he was...
Let's talk about the founding of the Distinguished Gentleman's Club.
Absolutely. So about 8 years ago.
You said you're a mother, so how many children?
I have 5 kids.
Okay.
They started saying that I was their African American, and they got this from our president. You know, they were voted by.
And what were you doing when you were out? The first or the second time? We both the first time.
So I was in and out.
Good. Awesome. So that really is a great place to transition.
And who is sitting across from me or beside me is never going to sway that.
Listen, man. One, I'm not gonna cry on this episode.
Yeah.
I made it through all of these episodes. I think I've cried once in Congress. What are the things that you're most proud of accomplishing? You know, as a congressman and as whip.
Real Talk with Rajon.
Yo, little different vibe tonight, so I didn't go with my normal theme music because it's a different vibe tonight. Tonight we are saying how we feel. Tonight is different. Tonight is different, so I wanted to set a different mood, a different vibe. I hope everybody that's watching right now is ready to feel something. I want us to feel something. I want to bring people on to give you some time to tell us how you feel. How have you felt about the last 4 years? How have you felt about this year? How have you felt about what happened in DC yesterday? I want you to tell me how you feel. Today's the day where I just open the room. I let people come in. I let them express themselves. Keep it rolling. So, with that being said, I guess I'll start. What's going on? So I just want to go ahead and start. I see several people in the room. 15. We got 15 people in the room right now. If everybody can tag somebody, let them know this discussion's going on. All day long, there were people posting about what they felt one way or the other. I wanted to create a forum. I got a call from one of my people that I look up to, Miss Deborah Powell-Anderson. And she reached out. She said, Rajon, there's a lot. People are feeling a lot. Could you create a forum where people could come in and talk about how they feel? We did something similar after the George Floyd, where we called it Our Lives Matter, where people could come in and talk about, how they felt about police brutality. And yesterday, we had another one of those moments where the whole world stopped. The whole world stopped. And when the world stopped, we watched what was happening in Washington, D.C. And I know that different people have different opinions about what happened yesterday. And what I wanted to do, again, like I said, is create this opportunity for people to come in. So what I want you guys to do, I put a link in the comment section. My wife pinned it. All right. The link is right there. It's pinned at the top. And all you got to do is go in, click that link, and it'll bring you right into the room. Just make sure that when you come in, you have on headphones and you're willing, and you're ready to express how you feel. That's it. That's the special sauce. I'm going to go ahead and send the link to somebody that I know will use it. My wife pinned it already. I'm going to send it to somebody that I know will use it. I'm going to send it to my good friend, Pastor Dixon. Come on in, Pastor Dixon. Send it to him. We'll go ahead and send it to Miss Deborah Anderson Powell. Come in and join me. Miss Charmaine, come on in. The link's at the top. All you got to do is click it. I see y'all typing. I want to hear you, because what I want y'all to understand, right? When we type these words, people don't get the context. They don't get to see our faces. They don't get to hear our voices. So even if you want to come in and you don't want to put your camera on, you just want to talk, I'll give you that. Because I know everybody didn't like, y'all like to get dressed up and stuff. Y'all know me. I'll just turn this camera on and cook. I'll turn this camera on and cook. T-shirt, whatever. I don't wear makeup or nothing like that. So please come in. Let me know how you feel. Let's talk. Where y'all at? I did a video earlier today. Matter of fact, I'll play the video that I did earlier today to let y'all know how I feel. Get started. Because I talked about it earlier. I said how I felt earlier. And I don't want to repeat myself. Because for me, that was the cathartic part, was being able to express what I felt. Give me 1 second while I pull it up. In fact, while I'm waiting for people to come in, I'll go ahead and share my screen with y'all. And y'all can see what we doing, what I got here. So this is what I said. I see Pastor Dixon. I see you in the background. Pastor Dixon, I'm going to go ahead and set the tone with my video, and then I'm going to bring you in. That's cool? My guy. All right. Let me share my screen. Chrome tab. Boom. Boom. All right, so apparently y'all can't hear the video. I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought you'd be able to hear the video. That's all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring Pastor Dixon on.
What he wants, even when what he wants is based on lies that he's spewing.
Yes.
To the people who were saying.
Yes, we're like in and out right now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
All right. Cool. Thank you so much for joining me. I guess I tried to share the video.
To be president of the United States in the first place. So you're exactly right.
What do you think? What are you feeling? What are your thoughts?
Colleagues here are hearing when it comes to the president's mood.
Okay, I'm like reading lips right now because it was bouncing in and out as you were talking. So I think you just told me to flow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. First off, greetings everyone from Pensacola, Florida. I'm here as we stand and say goodbye to my mother-in-law, who at 78 years old passed away a little over a week ago as a result of COVID-19, which I can't help but use as an intro into the conversation tonight that has to do with the last 4 years under this current administration, in which going on 400,000 sometime soon, people have died from COVID because of the lack of care and concern for people. That lack of care and concern for people has been manifested from the top down, from this White House down, from Donald Trump down. And when I go Donald Trump down, I mean from Donald to Ivanka to Don Jr. to every last one of them on down. Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott, on down, who have followed up behind this maniac. And y'all forgive me, I'm Pastor Dixon, but I'm going to say what I feel. This maniac. He has driven our country in a direction that it is not seen in several hundred years. And now has actually been the instigator of open sedition, treason, and several other crimes against our nation. And I firmly do believe that he is going to pay a price for it, because I hope that the people who are the backbone of America, supposedly, are not going to let it just go by the wayside. Unfortunately, in that same time span of 4 years, one of the biggest focuses of his administration was empowering white supremacists while tearing down Black lives, even to the point of targeting Black lives. And what we saw in Washington, D.C. yesterday was only the culmination of a 4-year reign of lies and deceit, where he told the white segment of our nation that wants to believe this superiority thing, this white supremacy thing. He fed them exactly what they wanted to hear. It's like the emperor's new clothes. The emperor, he bought an expensive set of clothes that really wasn't any clothes, but the tailor sold it to him, said, yeah, you look great in this thing. And it was actually no clothes at all. And the emperor paid for it because the emperor wanted to believe that he looked great in this outfit. I saw that, wifey. But the emperor bought it lock, stock, and barrel. But when he put on what was no clothes. He was unclothed, just naked. And so they had the parade out, and he went out thinking he was looking great because the guy sold it to him saying that, and this is what he wanted to believe. And the people was looking at him like, man, look at the king, look at the emperor. But the people wouldn't say anything to the emperor either, because they were, they were like they were like Lindsey Graham and them, Ted Cruz and them. They were like, yeah, okay, all right. Everything looks great. But this one kid in the crowd, the innocence of a kid, said, you butt naked, man. You ain't got no clothes on. And that's when people are told what they want to hear, it incites them to believe what they're hearing, even when it's a lie. And so there's a large portion of American society, 74 million of them, as a matter of fact, which is scary, who have believed lie after lie after lie after lie up under Donald Trump, because this is what they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that Black Lives Matter was a terrorist organization. They wanted to hear that that everything that was going on is the result of bad Black people in America. They wanted to be empowered that way. They wanted to hear that it was all right to carry Confederate battle flags and to shout obscenities at people, racial epithets at people. They wanted to hear these things, and all he did was told them it's all right to do it. It's all right to molest women. It's okay. It's all right to do whatever you like to do, as long as you're white. As a matter of fact, those Black folks, those people of color, those Latino folks, those Muslims, they're trying to take your America away from you. So we got to make America great again. So he sold that lie for all of these years, and now here we are. Yesterday was an atrocity. It was an atrocity. But for me, I look at it as a revelation. It was what people have denied for a long time, as far as Donald Trump, as far as his administration. There are a lot of people now who see clearly. But a lot of those people that are seeing clearly right now are the same people that empowered him. And those are not the people that I'm willing to let off the hook. I don't care what Lindsey said as far as this, that, and the other. Enough is enough, man. Enough is enough should have been 3.5 years ago. Okay, it takes a fool to learn. And Lindsey ain't got no love for that right now. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear Mitch McConnell. I don't want to hear that. Go on, do the right thing, but I don't want to hear that personally. They screwed up. They allowed our country to be screwed up. All the way up until last week, they allowed our country to be screwed up. And all of a sudden, one day, a week before the new president takes office, now you want to backtrack and say enough is enough? Oh, we made a mistake. Y'all forgive me. And I ain't forgiving nothing. Vote them out, sit them down, shut them up, and let them go about doing benevolent work out into the community to help the community in the ways that they tore it down for the last 4 years up under their demigod, Donald Trump. Yeah, I'm going to drop it right there.
Thank you, Pastor. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts Like I said, it's a lot of emotion today in the country. There's a lot, everybody's feeling things. Everybody has feelings. Everybody's feeling things. And I just wanted to create some kind of space where we can come in and say what we need to say. If we need to scream, then we're going to scream. If we're going to cry, we're going to cry. If we're going to feel, we're going to feel. But we're going to do it together.
Amen.
And I just wanted to do that. I want to send a special thank you to Miss Deborah, who actually called me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing that. So I'm gonna move on to the next person, Pastor Dixon. Please stick around and watch for a little while, man. We love to get your thoughts on everything that's going on. And if we get a chance, I'll bring you back on.
Absolutely.
But you know what time it is. I love you and I appreciate you, sir.
Likewise.
My guy. All right. I'm gonna bring the pastor out. I'm gonna bring in one of the hidden gems of the Low Country, but she's known so far beyond here. She's respected all over the country for her work in philanthropy, in music, in writing, in entertainment. And she's also the owner of the Spot 47 downtown Charleston. She's the founder of the Spotlight Awards. She's just an amazing woman. She's somebody I look up to and I'm proud to call a friend and a mentor. So thank you. Welcome, Miss Deborah, and you got the floor. Please introduce yourself and cook.
I am so honored to be here, Rajon. Thank you for doing this. Last night, my heart was just like, I've got to reach out to Rajon because the voice, I'm Deborah Anderson, by the way. It's just so good. Charleston is my home, and it is so good to be back home. I was almost beside myself yesterday with looking at what was happening because, first of all, for the last 4 years, we have put up with the nonsense. I tell people, if nothing else, number 45, because I'm sorry, but I cannot refer to him as my personal president. So I call him number 45. But we have to be grateful for number 45 because he opened our eyes up in ways that we've never seen before. These things have been happening. They didn't just start. They've been happening for a long time, but we're just now seeing them because of number 45. We look at the things that this man does and we go, how in the world can he do that? How can he get away with that? And time again, we've watched as the individuals that we elected, that we selected to represent us, especially on the Republican side, we have watched how they have taken advantage of everything that man did, everything that man offered. So as a result, they were in cahoots with him. They were in bed with him, and they allowed him to do so many things that if any one of us had even thought about doing it, we'd be under the jail, not just in jail. This man, is so corrupt. The corruption we have seen as a people. And for it to now get to this point in which they spewed those lies openly to the followers of number 45 and telling them that the election was fraudulent and how it was taken away. And we need to fight to reclaim what is ours. And these people, unfortunately, believe every word that this man says. I watched an interviewer interview a large group of them for a rally. And this interviewer was asking different questions. And one of them dealt with reading a form, something that had come out that number 45 had done some crazy things with. And they repeated that their president told them to read the information. And they spoke saying that this is what was said on that information. The interviewer said, well, have you read it yet? And over again, they go, no, I haven't read it. And finally, one person said, well, my president said it was there, so I believe him. So they knew everything that they were doing from day one up until now. They have strategically groomed these people to believe what they are saying. And now we get to this point in which the man who's in the White House tells them to go down the street to the Capitol and to do exactly what they did. I wanted to say tonight, and I want everybody to please hear me. We as a people, this is our country. We elected those individuals to represent us. They're flipped it. They are trying to flip it so that it comes across as though they get to tell us what to do. as though they are our quote unquote bosses. They are not. We as a people have to speak up. We cannot just sit back silently and allow them to do whatever they want to do. Because if we do that, we're doomed. They'll take us apart just like Hitler did. We're doomed as the whole group of people in our country. We have to let it be known that not only number 45, but every single one of them who was involved in this coup, every one of them who was involved with brainwashing those people and telling those people that the election was fraudulent. Lindsey Graham, you're supposed to be representing South Carolina. Yeah, we saw you last night. We saw you flip that script to that 180-degree turn and say enough is enough. Lindsey, enough was enough way before you even were up for re-election this time. Lindsey, we're watching you. We're not stupid. The American people are very intelligent. We are looking at what you guys are doing. So I want to say to all of you, all of them should be, they should be investigated and they should be held accountable. And if it means jail time, so be it. From number 45 on down, Cruz, all of them, every last one who stood up and was prepared to say last night that the vote was fraudulent and to make it appear as though something wrong was done. Every last one who signed that lawsuit in Texas, senators and House members, every last one of you, this is on you. This is on you. No, don't blame it on the people who came to the Capitol and stormed the Capitol. No, it begins with you. And I refuse to allow you to sit back and go, oh, wow, that was crazy yesterday what they did. I changed my mind. No, you didn't change your mind. You were in on it from day one. You had a personal agenda and you knew what you were doing. For those of you who are intending to run for president, your goal was to get those people to follow you because you knew number 45 was on the way out. So if I can get them to follow me, maybe now they will vote for me and follow me the way that they did number 45. I remember when 45 was running for president and several of you were, all the horrible things you said about that man, how troubling he was, how no good he was, all those horrible things. And now that you've got your own personal agendas attached, you've gotten into bed with him. You supported every wrong thing that man did. For 4 years, we watched it. For 4 years, it didn't just start yesterday. But because you allowed him and supported him and getting away with every single thing that he put forth, he felt so strong and powerful that I do believe that he believed he is God. And whatever he says, it's done. And you guys follow right along with it. So now, when he gets in, when they investigate him, and we've got to push for that investigation to be done. As a matter of fact, he should be in jail today. For what he just did, he should be in jail today. But he's not. And if we don't get on it as a people, he will not be prosecuted. And neither will the rest of them. But I wanted to go on the record that we see you and we see what you have done. And it stops at your doorstep. You will never, ever be able to say that you weren't a part of it. And that's my piece.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, from the standpoint of wisdom from which you speak, and your experience over the years and the things that you've seen, you know, in your lifetime in terms of civil rights and the movement and all these different things. And have you ever seen anything in your life like we saw yesterday?
Never in my life, Rajon. And you know what's so mind-blowing for me? How I'm grateful. I hate that George Floyd lost his life. But he gave his life in a way. No, he didn't give it. They took it. But because of his death, it allowed America's eyes to be opened. All these years in my growing up, as a little girl, I still remember walking with my mother when the nurses striked back in the 60s. I remember walking with her and holding her hands. I remember getting on the bus, and as we became teenagers, wanting to always ride in the back of the bus. And then you grow up to realize why. It's because before we had to ride, it wasn't an option. So we grew up thinking the back of the bus was the cool place to be. But it blows me away how when as a Black person, I make a statement that something is not right for me and the people that look most like me. And so many Americans are like, Just quit pulling that card, that black card. It's not real. It's very real. And now other people are getting to see the differences. I listened to a lot of the programs today in which they talked about the fact that had those people on the Capitol yesterday looked like me and you, 4 people lost their lives, 52 people went to jail. Well, if they look like you and me, Ray Sean, oh my gosh. Can you imagine the slaughter? Can you begin to imagine? So many people would be dead. It wouldn't even, and look at how the protesters for Black Lives Matter were treated. They were incarcerated, beaten, a lot of things happened. When they were the peaceful ones, it were the others coming in to make it look bad that did the damage and the graffiti. But those people yesterday, there was nothing peaceful about it at all. But there were officers taking sorry about that.
That's absolutely
patting them on the back. That people, I saw some video footage, not from yesterday, but from a time before, in which some officers were going up against the Proud Boys, and the people were saying to them, "We've been supporting you all year. Why are you attacking us today?" That speaks volumes. See, it tells you that the officers, and those officers, those of you who are good, because they're good people in all colors, and they're jerks in all colors. The officers who are doing the right thing, we thank you so much. But we have to say to you that you cannot sit back and allow your colleagues to get away with what they're getting away with. When George Floyd was killed, we remember America got to see how that one officer put his knee on that gentleman's neck and decided, I'm going to kill you today. He put his hands in his pockets, and his colleagues protected him so nobody could stop him from committing that murder. That's how brazen they've gotten to be. Those good officers, it is on you. When you don't speak up and let it be known that we've got a bad apple, because when you allow the bad apple to exist, you are just as guilty as that bad apple. There has got to be equal treatment in America for all people. It's not that we wanted you to shoot more of them yesterday. We rather you shoot less of us like you did them yesterday. You don't shoot right away. Treat us the way you treat them. We get to see it. We saw it. All of America saw it. And I'm calling it out for what it is. And like Pastor Dixon said, and Rajon, I think I heard you say that earlier today. If you don't agree with me, guess what? I'm going to love you where you are. And I'm going to have to leave you right where you are. Because if I'm on the way, and I know that what I'm saying is right, and you do too, and I'm on the way to make a difference, not for just people who look like me, for everyone. But I have to speak out, especially for people who look like me, because for years we have been living a life of hell. When my son got stopped the other day, unfortunately, he was driving too fast. But when he was stopped, and I happened to be on the phone with him, immediately I started praying. I started praying that it would be an officer that would have sense enough to treat him properly and just give my baby the ticket and let him come home. Because I've seen too many of us die for nothing. We want to be treated equally. So I have to speak out for people who look most like me so that we can work together and hopefully end racism one day. One day.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Miss Deborah. I love you and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to go ahead and bring the next person on, but thank you so much. And again, thank you for being the person who reached out to me and said, hey, Rajon, I think the community needs this.
Yes.
And so I wanted to create this space for people to come on and talk.
And we all need it. All races need to hear this.
Absolutely.
We all have to wake up.
Absolutely.
To the truth.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Deborah. I appreciate
Love you. Nothing you can do about it.
You already know. Yes, ma'am. All right, I'm going to bring Miss Deborah off. All right. Next up, I'm going to bring Miss Dee Shanti. But before I do, I just want to go ahead and reset the room. This is the Let's Talk About It community discussion. When this was suggested to me, one of my friends actually said, hey, you should put this on Clubhouse, because this would be a great discussion to have on Clubhouse. And I said, no, I wanted to have this with the people that I've been building relationships with for the last 10 years in the social media sphere, people that I know are from my area, people that I know care about these issues, people that I've grown and watched me grow as a man and as a person. And I wanted to be able to see people's faces. I wanted you to be able to look into people's eyes and see the passion that's there. And if you are one of those people who are in the room and you're saying to yourself, I want to be a part of that discussion. I want to join in. I want to talk. I have something to say. I want to scream. I want to yell. I want to cry, whatever. We're not going to judge you here. Unless you're Van Jones. Van Jones, if you come in here crying, I promise you, I'm clowning. I'm sick of you crying on TV. Van Jones, just you. Everybody else, y'all got a green light. But for real, again, please click the link. It's pinned at the top of the comment section. Come on in. Let's hear your thoughts. I want to bring on Ms. Dee Shanti. Thank you so much for joining us, Ms. D.
Hey, Rajan. Thank you for putting this together and bringing people in. And it's a hard act to follow, Miss Deborah. So I'm glad to be.
That's why I try to give you a little space. That's right. But please introduce yourself and then give us your thoughts, whatever you feel.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dee Shanti. I live here in Charleston, and I just recently started a new job as the managing director of the Peace Alliance, which is a national nonprofit organization working to cultivate peace and peace building skills. Part of that is advocating for a U.S. Department of Peace. U.S. Department of Peace building in our nation's cabinet. So I'm very blessed to be doing this work, and it feels like it's the perfect timing for what the Peace Alliance has been doing and what we may be able to do forward to reimagine. But for me, watching yesterday's events, I found myself reflecting a lot on the bubble that senators and congresspeople, especially white senators and congresspeople, live within, and the level of insulation that they have around them in their day-to-day lives. And they got a big old dose of reality yesterday. And while I do not advocate violence, and I do not advocate, people getting hurt. Whiteness needs to be hit over the head a little bit with the reality of what we benefit from and what we uphold a lot with our behavior and our choices and our movements through space. And oftentimes that's not gentle. If it would work that whiteness would get it gently, then I think it would have been changed a long time ago. So I found myself thinking about what they must have felt like as they got, ushered out of their chambers and shut down and locked in place as this mob had breached the perimeter of their building, their sanctified space. These are people who don't typically feel like anything can touch them, that they don't have control over. And then fast forward to them coming back on the floor, and many of them had changed their tune a little bit. And I thought that was interesting. And I thought, if there's going to be a benefit from yesterday's shenanigans, that's one of them. I'm appalled, but not surprised at the lack of police interaction with the insurrectors, as I call them, even so far as holding the hand of one of them and gently helping her down the steps as she walks away and doesn't get arrested. I mean, the hypocrisy is very obvious to anyone, I'm sure, that's listening to this. But what I appreciate is that if we can all just survive this craziness, that we're getting some real, whiteness is getting some real concrete, I hope, concrete visual understanding of the dichotomy between, and it is unfortunate. And I just want to say out loud and give credence to the fact that Black and brown people have been talking about this violence towards them, towards you, towards anyone that looks like you for centuries. And we, whiteness doesn't hear it unless it's right in our faces. And so my hope is that if there is a gift of yesterday, that it be a wake-up call, that it knocks some of the insulation off around these senators and congressmen and women who are often oblivious to the lives that they touch with their actions. I appreciate the calls for Trump to be removed immediately. I think he should have been. He should have been removed at opening of business today. I keep hearing that there are silent talks happening in the background, and I hope that is true because he needs to be removed. That man should not have had the launch codes for 4 years. He certainly shouldn't have them for the next 13 days. But I was also listening to someone talking about how important it is that that these folks be made an example of, that the congressmen and women, senators who uphold his behavior and want his rhetoric to continue need to be made an example of, because Trump's going to go away. He's not the problem. He's a symptom of the problem. He's the manifestation of the problem in embodiment, but he's not the problem. So he's going to leave the office and he's going to go start a news outlet, or he's going to create some sort of audience where he can continue this rhetoric and continue ginning up this hatred. And we need to get real about how we're going to stem that, because the people that look like me are not going to be the ones getting killed. The only reason somebody got killed yesterday and they were white is because they were in the middle of a melee and one of them got shot and 3 others had a heart, or had some sort of health issues. And I don't mean to sound cruel, and I don't mean to sound like I don't care about their lives, but that's the only reason why people died yesterday. And we need to get real about that. So I don't want to take up a lot of space. I thank you for having me. And, I wonder if white people are going to, I hope they keep talking about it. I hope we keep talking about it, because whiteness will forget very quickly.
Wow.
So
Thank
we
you
need
so much. Thank you so much for that. And again, I wanted to give you the space that you needed to say what you needed to say. That's what this is all about. I'm just giving people the space to say what they need to say. And I feel you, and I join you in that. And I join you in a hope for a better tomorrow. Despite whatever we may see in front of us, I do believe that there's a ray of hope along the horizon. We may not be able to see it, it may be dim, but I believe it to be there. So thank you so much, Dee, for joining us in this space. And I honor you for joining us tonight. I hope you continue to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Rajan.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to take Ms. Dee off, and I'm going to bring on a gentleman. I'm going to use that term not loosely at all, that I know really well. He's a young man. He's no stranger to the show. He's only 16 years old. He just turned 16. He's a young man that I've had the honor and the privilege of mentoring for the last 3 years. And every day this young man wows me with his level of wisdom, his maturity, and the panache with which he walks through life. And he actually just won, he came and tied for first place for a speech contest for the Martin Luther King, the YWCA Martin Luther King speech contest. And I just want to bring my guy, Mr. Zackeus Kynard, to the stage. Thank you, Zach, for joining me, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, man, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Me and you talk a lot, so I'll get right to it. I just want to start because you're young, right? First, introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll get into some questions.
Hey, everyone, I'm Zackeus Kynard. I'm like Mr. Rajan said, I'm 16 years old. I'm honored to be a part of the Distinguished Gentlemen's Club, which Mr. Rajan also is a part of. The club has been a part of my life, which I can honestly forever appreciate, and things I've been able to do and what I've been able to learn and how much I've progressed. I appreciate it. So that's just it's an honor, really.
Thank you so much, sir. And I appreciate you, but you already know that. I don't even got to tell you that. Listen, so let's get. I want to ask you a few questions because you're young, right? This is really the first presidency that you're going to remember in your lifetime. I mean, when Barack Obama was president, that was 4 years ago now. So you were what, 12 when that ended. So this is really the first presidency that you're really going to remember when you're an adult. What's the last 4 years been like for you in those terms?
It's been an experience. I remember the very day that this president was elected. I was in 6th grade at the time. I remember when he was elected. I remember just the reactions that so many people had. At the time, I didn't really knew about the election. I knew Clinton and Trump, but I didn't really know. I wasn't really in politics as much as I learned now. So I didn't really know how to react, but obviously we've seen.
Zach, you glitching on me.
Yes, sir.
You glitching on me. I need you
to
find a split. Yeah, you glitching.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see here.
Cool. I like the background. You looked really nice. It's a nice background. I like the picture. I see what you were trying to do with the art there. I like it. Let's go to a place you got a little bit better signal so we can make sure they can hear you because you have some very eloquent words. You're a very well-spoken young man.
Is this better?
Yes. All right. So go ahead. You said you were talking about how the reaction.
Oh, yes, sir. The reaction to this president was, I saw it. I've heard many people, such as Steve Harvey, I listened to him on the radio, and people in my life talk about how it would be an interesting term. However, I didn't really know what to expect of it. Like I told you before, I wasn't really in politics. I didn't know that much about either candidate. All I knew was that Donald Trump was a Republican. I knew he was coming in, and I just really was like, let's see how it goes from on out. But honestly, I can say that the way that he was received, I know that he said some things about how he was going to try and have a peaceful transition from the Obama administration into his campaign, which in my opinion, he didn't really do anything from that. It didn't really seem smooth, and it honestly seemed like he was just trying to undo everything. He would say how something about Obamacare that he was going to try to remove in favor of some other healthcare, some type of just option for that. But it just seemed I never really accepted him in, because from the information I heard about him, especially when we were going through everything about how he disrespected women and how he called them what I believe the quote was fat pigs. I just didn't really I can't accept that. I was in 6th grade. I still couldn't accept it, and I can't to this day. I mean, you were born from a woman. You're supposedly married to one, and you had a daughter. How can you say that? And then I see these people out here supporting with the pink signs that say, women for Trump. How can you do you see what this guy is about? And you still sit back and you support him? I just don't. It's not easy to accept, especially from my position where I can make my voice heard, but physically I can't really vote at this point in time. So I can only really hope that what I say, what I write, what I may do, my influence on people may only be able to help them try to make a decision, because I can't really make my physical vote count yet. But within the next few years, that will be different. But hey, I mean, the sooner that this is over with, the better.
So let me ask you this, because you just said a mouthful. You just said a lot. Let's talk about yesterday. What happened yesterday? In Washington D.C. Were you following? Did you see the footage of what happened in Washington D.C.? What were your thoughts when you saw what was going on?
I thought that this is in my opinion, it's just kind of ridiculous, especially where I saw, in my view, I came on, I sat down, immediately I saw a woman in front of, I believe this was CNN that they're reporting off of, and there was a woman that came right in the middle of the camera between the reporter and said that at least we're not destroying people's businesses and setting things on fire. And in my opinion, that's a direct target at what the events have happened in June and July with the Black Lives Matter protesting and what happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And it's like, first of all, nobody's comparing, or at least at that time, I don't believe anyone was trying to compare it. And it isn't really comparable because you guys, you so-called protesters, which I don't think you can even call them protesters because you're not protesting against anything. The fact of the election being fake, the results being fake, isn't true. That's a lie. It's been proven that it was counted, it was real. So you guys are taking in a lie from the biggest seat in the entire nation, and then you're going to support it by comparing that to people protesting and trying to advocate for innocent lives, innocent Black lives being taken by police brutality, injustice, and racism. Like that, you can't compare that. They're not on the same level. We're protesting for our lives. They're protesting and having essentially a tantrum because you guys didn't get your way in an election and think that it's fraud. And then I saw Donald Trump come on and say that how that we love you, how we understand what you're going through. Like, how can you say that when literally the Capitol building is being attacked? They support Blue Lives Matter and funding the police, but you're attacking the police. So you see, it's just kind of contradicting it. Really, just I think it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest.
Thank you for that, man. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. That's the wisdom with which I know you to have, man. I'll ask you this, and this will be the last question I ask you, and I'll let you get back to your night because it's pretty sure you got to get ready for school and stuff. What are your hopes for the next 4 years in terms of what you want to see in the nation, what you'd like to see happen?
My hope is that we can come to an agreement on specifically race and equality, because although the days of not really, but the days of slavery as we learned is essentially over. The chains, I shout to my mom because I heard this a lot, the chains on your brain are still there, but obviously the physical chains aren't. I just hope that we can get on equal terms to where where the hate just because of how you look isn't there anymore. Like, you can't, first of all, if you've never met somebody, you don't know who they are, you don't know what their quality is like, and you just hate them because of how they look, when they could be really important to you as a person, and you hate them because of how they look. Like, I just hope that we can get on the right path into really becoming one, like what Dr. King's dream was, as opposed to being separated and having people fight over something that you have no control over.
My guy. So you know what I'm going to ask you to do to close, right?
I have an idea.
Give it to me. I want to hear it. Make them feel you.
All right. Okay. All right. Let me make sure I'm straight here. Here we go. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was an icon for so many people. On this day, every year, millions of people celebrate his legacy for civil rights and the fight for equality. Yeah, I had to say this one time. Let me refresh myself. No, because I had to say this several times.
I know. You got it. You got it. I'm not gonna hold you. You got it?
Sir, no. I'll go. I'll say it. I got it.
All right, come. You got it. I got you. Go ahead.
All right, cool. I'm gonna start from the beginning. All right.
Yes, sir.
Cool. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was an icon for so many people. On this day, every year, millions of people celebrate his legacy for civil rights and the fight for equality. 57 years ago, in Washington, D.C., he declared that he had a dream. And within that dream, Dr. King stipulated that he wanted fair treatment for all. He wanted justice for all. He wanted an end to racism and he wanted equal rights for all. His I Have a Dream speech at the March on Washington was inspirational. However, 57 years after that dream, there are still too many incidents that have occurred, which reflect that not only have we not achieved the dream, but instead we've fallen behind in so many ways. Although ground has been made, systemic racism and injustice against African Americans continues to be an issue that must be addressed. The number of victims affected by police brutality and injustice seems to grow with every passing year. Dr. King's dream still has yet to become reality. However, the main fact at hand is that it was Dr. King's dream and no one else's. All people are created equal from the inside out, and we must acknowledge this fact before moving forward. As there will always be supporters of Dr. King's dream, but no one can have the same dream or vision that Dr. King had. The fact is simple. Our world is broken. The tools we need to repair it lie at our fingertips, and it is just up to us to use them. Change cannot begin with blaming others and refusing to accept what is right. It must start within the very person who so desires it. As restoring the dream and repairing the world are essential to me, for I, like the great Dr. King, have a dream. Thank you.
That's my guy. Listen, that's my guy. Listen, that's my yes. Listen, man. Listen, bro. You brought me to tears just now. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I tell you every time I see you, I love you and I appreciate you. You just shine on that stage like you always do. And as long as we got people like you in our future, man, we good. We gonna be all right. All right. I love you, and I will see you. I will see you soon. All right.
Love you, man. Thank you for the opportunity.
You already know, man. I'll talk to you probably tomorrow.
All right.
Peace. All right. Listen, that's my guy. That's my guy. I like with young men like that. With young men like that, we have nothing to worry about. I promise you. I promise you, we have nothing to worry about. That's my guy. My guy. My guy. Listen, just keeping it rolling. Like I said, I want to bring it back to center. I'm sort of high right now on my peoples, but this is a space we created to say how you feel. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care black, white, Jewish, Hindu, whatever you may want you to come into this room and tell me how you feel. The last 4 years, let me know how you feel. We don't have to agree. We can be diametrically opposed. We can disagree on everything, and that's okay. That's okay. I just want us to come in here, be real with each other, and feel with each other. That's all I want. I want us to be honest, be real with each other, and feel with each other. And if we do that, we can all have a woosah moment and have and go about our day. I see Marcus McDonald's in the room, but his camera's not on, so I don't know if he's ready yet. There he is. All right, cool. This young man's been on my show before. I'm excited to bring him back on. He is the president of Charleston Black Lives Matter. First of all, introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Rajon, for the introduction. Like you said, my name is Marcus, and I'm the lead organizer of Black Lives Matter and the Charleston chapter. And I'm excited to be on here, at least talk about what's been going on. It's definitely been a long 24, 48 hours for everybody. But I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. How do you feel, man? Like whatever you got, let me know. I'm gonna give you the space. I'm gonna pull you full screen, and you let us know how you feel.
All right. Sounds good. I got some notes, so it's perfect. Well, my main thing is this: what we've been hearing. I've been listening to people talk about it, just trying to keep my ears close to the streets. And I feel like what a lot of people just on this live have been saying too is whether this is BLM protest or what if this was us, or even and what something that also interests me, what if there's even a different race, like a Muslim American protest or a Mexican American protest, what would be the different reaction? And we all know people said it'd be a bloodbath. There's 4 people died of the failed coup this time. I can't even imagine the numbers if it was one of us. So just kind of want to put that in there. It's like it would be so much more worse, and they were so much more prepared. And if you see some of the videos, there's some videos of them even like letting them in through the gates, of like just letting them on in. And you know, there's one video of one of the policemen holding one lady's hand. So it's just like you see that, you know, it's two different Americas. And I want to play devil's advocate too. Like a lot of people are saying, like, we're gonna stand up, he's gonna get justice. And I feel like throughout these last 4 years, we always say this, like, all right, he did this. Wow, like he's not gonna get away with this. Like, they said it from the beginning, like when they said when they had the leaked calls like of him talking about women, they're like, oh, he's never gonna recover, like it's over. And throughout the presidency, I feel like we've always just gotten these moments where it's like we get surprised. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I didn't surprise me as much. I was like, oh, there's someone in the White House. I was like, well, I mean, he's been saying that he literally ordered it in his speech. So it's just playing devil's advocate. I don't think, you know, justice is going to be served on either him. He'll probably get some jail time, maybe. But, you know, when you see like with these white collar criminals, it's usually like a really poshy jail anyways. If he does get jail time, he'll probably still be able to use internet, all that stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely very skeptical on people saying, like, you know, like I want him to go to jail, and I want us to stand up and demand that he does go to jail or face some type of him and people who've been egging this on. But, you know, just playing devil's advocate, I don't think justice is going to be served as much as it could be. And, you know, I think there will be maybe some justifications, but I think, you know, largely it will go unpunished. Well, obviously the people who did it, yes, but like as far as like the upper heads, you know, we've seen there's like a layer of protection around not only the president, but people he associates with. So, you know, I just want to put that in the air. Like, you know, don't be that surprised if, you know, things like, you know, the justice doesn't get served. And really think about as far as like how we can have intersectionality. And I'm not going to talk too long on this. I know other people would like to speak, but as far as the intersectionality of it, there's a lot of it. So it's like we've seen a lot of this culmination of, you know, protests and like racial anger and just people being out there. And like throughout the summer, we saw a lot of it. And also, you know, as this election's going on, a lot of the steal the vote protesters or rioters, whatever you want to call them, we've seen a lot of it. And it's just a big culmination, even like stretching back to Charlottesville in these last like 5 or 10 years, just a culmination of this moment. So it's really something that like, it was like the most surprising, surprising thing. I was like, wow, like they're doing it, but it's like, you know, this has been something that's been bubbling and bubbling up for like so long. So it's just something that, you know, I you know, personally, I'm just like, you know, it shows you just how it's two different Americas. And you know, moving forward from it, just like how, you know, how we're going to reconcile with that. Because I mean, these people are still going to be out here. A lot of these people, there's a lot of people from Charleston, you know, who are far right people who are organizers here who went up there. So it's like these are problems we're going to have to continuously deal with. So I've just been thinking and just talking to my team and just about the intersectionality and how, you know, we're going to move forward and ensuring that, you know, that this doesn't happen again. Or, you know, if this happens on a local level again, like we saw with the Broad Street thing, just like how we responded. That's just my whole idea behind it. Like we're gonna be, you know, fighting for justice for and trying to, you know, demand that the people who are involved are found. And then I know there's like a lot of Instagram pages trying to dox them and stuff. But I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming from. It just like looking at it on a local level, it's a lot of stuff that, you know, we're gonna have to continue to deal with. So, you know, what's the next steps? And I mean, even the next 13 days, you know, it's going to, you know, I don't think this is going to be the worst thing. You know, I don't want to be forbidding or jinx it, but, you know, I'm, you know, I'm pretty certain we could see something pretty like, you know, jaw dropping within the next 2 weeks. You know, I don't think he'll get impeached personally, unless maybe Pence says something, but I doubt it. But yeah, like I said, that's pretty much my whole spiel. I just, you know, want to think about the intersectionality and, you know, how we as like local, a lot of these, most people who are watching is Charlestonians. So, you know, how are we going to move forward, you know, as a people?
Word. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate your comments. Thank you for your work that you do, you know, in community organizing. We need people like you, boots on the ground, doing what you do. I just encourage you to stay encouraged because you're going to need it in these here streets, bro. But, you know, people like you are the future. And we need people like you to make sure that you're keeping your head on the swivel and not, getting sucked into the wrong stuff. So I'm watching you, and I appreciate you. And if you need me, reach out. I got you.
Yes,
All right, my guy.
Appreciate you
All right,
too.
man. God bless you.
Yeah, bless.
Peace. All right. Next up, I'm gonna, again, we're creating this space, right? People coming in, they're saying how they feel. Everybody's not gonna agree on everything. Somebody may say something that you disagree with. That's fine. That's fine. I'm here for it. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong and I'm right. All I want to do is bring people on and let them express themselves, because there are a lot of emotions out here. People are feeling a lot of things. And if we don't learn, test ourselves and get that stuff out, it builds up. And pressure bust pipes, y'all. Pressure bust pipes. So with that being said, I'm going to go on to my next person. This gentleman is no stranger to Real Talk with Rajan. It's you, AJ, by the way. This person, no stranger to Real Talk with Rajan. He's probably one of the smartest people I know, bar none. Most well-researched. He can give you every number to everything ever written down. And I am always in awe of his ability to elocute and express himself, and to get his message across. One day he's going to write a book, and I'm going to read it, even though I feel like I read it every day when I turn on my Facebook feed. But that's another thing for another day. I'm going to bring my bro, AJ Davis. Come on in. Anjene, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on, man? How's it going?
My guy, what's up, man? I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you so much. Please introduce yourself and then let us know how you feel.
Hey, man, you need to stop making people think that I'm somebody important. We all. Hey, listen, man. Listen, I'm trying to be like you. I love to use the phrase, I just move tables and chairs, bro. That's what I do. Passionate community advocate. My areas of focus is, of course, education, community development. I'm a neighborhood president down in the Shakem community. Anything that can move the needle forward to help our communities, especially the African American community, Black community, I'm there. I think, watching everything, definitely appreciate Marcus and the other young man who came on. And I agree that that's not only our future, but that's our right now. One of the things that I always try to tell folks, especially as an adult, we have to be careful when we celebrate our young people and we say that they're the future. We got to make sure that we create a path to the future for them, that they are not carrying our baggage into their future. So I'm big on, I love that. But imagine if we could have them working on things besides fighting racism and social justice and things of that nature. I want to get us to the point where we're not fighting the same battles. We're not passing the same, baggage to the next generation. That's where I want to start. But as it relates to what happened on yesterday, I think, of course, everybody's been talking about it. Everybody's been talking about the, what if this would have never been if, and I get all those arguments. I think I want to come from the position of the how and the why. I think while the current president, President Trump, of course, has become the lightning rod for this, and people are calling him out, and rightfully so. Of course, I've seen people call out Mitch McConnell. You've definitely got Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, and a host of other people, other elected officials who seem to be complicit in this. I think we need to look at the bigger picture, that we have sitting elected officials in Congress, the highest legislative entity in our country, Congress, the House and the Senate. You have individuals elected by the people who sided with the domestic terrorists that overtook the Capitol yesterday. I think as people, we need to be more than just outraged. We need to be both angry and now determined. All right. Here's the thing that we also have to understand. I see a lot of people talking about Capitol security and, there's more security in Walmart. And you know what? I get the jokes. But let's think about this as a country. You mean to tell me that our elected officials who we send on our behalf to Washington, D.C. to deliberate and create laws that are supposed to improve and manage our lives. You mean to tell me that all it took was basically an armed mob of white people, predominantly white people, white Trump supporters, who were able to overtake what should be one of the most secure locations in our society? And I have to say, I'm not necessarily in the same boat as a lot of people are, because we saw they were doing dress rehearsals of this. If you paid attention last year, we saw people, armed militias, storming government entities in Michigan, Kentucky, of course, Portland. So to me, yesterday was an inevitability, and not to mention the fact that it had been being discussed on social media. We had heard them. They were not hiding the fact that they said they were going to come. Trump supporters had said they were not going to accept the results of this election. They were saying exactly what we saw yesterday. But I think what's even more troubling is the fact that in our great state of South Carolina, and I posted this on my page earlier this morning, our state has 7 congressional districts, meaning we have 7 representatives that we send to Washington, D.C. to represent us. Out of those 7, 6 of them are Republican. We just sent Nancy Mace, who took Joe Cunningham's District 1 seat. The only non-Republican representative that we have in the state of South Carolina is House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn. And I want to focus on that because all the representation that we send to Washington, D.C. is Republican. Our 2 senators, Senator Tim Scott and Senator Lindsey Graham, who just got reelected last year, are Republican. And as I said, all of our House of Representatives representation is Republican with the exception of Jim Clyburn. So now, I now feel like it's time to have the conversation. And I know people try to run away from partisanship. People try to, all sides matter when it comes down to politics. But we now need to have the conversation about the danger of the modern day Republican Party. We now need to talk about the danger of the modern day conservative movement. We now need to talk about something that has been in place now for at least the last 50 years. People are talking about Trump, but this goes back way further, way further. The fact that you had people who felt entitled enough, and some of the transcripts and articles that I've read, where you had people coming in, you saw the picture of the gentleman who was in Speaker Pelosi's office with his foot on the desk, saying that he's a taxpayer. For those of us who are at least 35 and older, we remember the coded dog whistle language that has always been used, especially in politics. Terms like taxpayer. Nowadays, we hear the term socialism. If you go back to the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, you will see the same thing. The term socialism, communism. We hear fascism. It's actually hilarious to see the current conservative outrage levied towards Antifa, which is basically a shortening of the word anti-fascist. But conservatives and Republicans have made that a bad word. But yet, their biggest gripe is they were against big government and government overreach and whatnot, which is in the textbook definition of is fascism. And so it's amazing to me. But I think more so than that, I guess I'm tired of the intellectual dishonesty. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into this because I know there may be some other folks who want to get in. I'm tired, honestly, I'm tired of the intellectual dishonesty from everybody. From, in particular, white conservatives, white liberals, white progressives, whatever, moderates, all of that. I'm tired of people wringing their hands saying, this is not who we are. Yes, the hell it is. This is exactly who we are. This is exactly who we are and who we have been since this country has been founded. Okay? I'm tired of people acting as though this is just a few people upset, a few rabble-rousers. It's not indicative. No, what we saw yesterday was people not only concerned with the outcome of the election. We saw white people who felt as though Donald Trump represents their beacon on the hill for how to maintain white power. That's what this is. When you look at the entirety of Donald Trump's administration, we've heard that term repeatedly, white power, from the Proud Boys flaunting it in the face of the rest of America with their symbols to the chants at Charlottesville. That's what we've seen, white power. The same as we saw in the 60s, the same as what was chanted during Hitler's reign in Germany, white power. And so what I need everybody to understand that what we saw yesterday was a group of people trying to hold on and maintain what they perceived to be white power. And why were they trying to do that? Why were they so animate about being able to overtake the Capitol? Because in their mind, Democrats, okay, left-wing politicians represent a threat. They will use terms like they're coming in to bring in socialism. I can guarantee you most of them don't even have the intellectual capacity to truly understand what socialism is and what it means to a society. They have been trained from birth to embrace the idea of white leadership, white dominance, and they believe without a shadow of a doubt that there is only supposed to be white men as leaders in this country, politically, economically, everything. So to have Joe Biden as a Democrat and Kamala Harris as his vice president, an Indian American, African American woman, is an affront to their perception of what America is supposed to look like, bar none. The fact that locally, not only did we have the 5 representatives from South Carolina co-signing the foolishness, you had several local groups and individuals who went to Washington to support. And I've seen that, folks have put up about Corey Allen from the Overton Report. Think about the fact that in the 4 years of Donald Trump, we have watched white nationalism, white xenophobia get a complete pass from not just government, but the media and law enforcement. Everybody was posting the pictures of the difference in the responses between what happened yesterday and what happened during the social justice protests earlier last year. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. You can juxtapose the images of the KKK walking down the streets of Washington in the early 20th century towards, and you can juxtapose that with the images of Black people and some white people marching for justice during the 60s, and look at the response of law enforcement, and look at the response of the state, if you will. Law enforcement is an arm of the state. And yesterday, many people saw that the state seems to be more empathetic, sympathetic to white protesters, to white people who claim they have a grievance with, the way things are going, than they do to people who have historically been subjected to some of the most horrific brutality known to man. Law enforcement yesterday demonstrated, at least during the morning part, at least during the time when all of us were watching for the most part, they demonstrated an extreme amount of restraint, the same level of restraint that we as Black people have been asking for since forever, the same amount of restraint that we hoped to have seen with Oscar Grant, the same amount of restraint we hope to have seen with Tamir Rice, Rakaya Boyd, John Crawford, Alton Sterling, Philando Castillo, Sandra Bland, okay? And a host of others, too many to name. We saw the same level of restraint that we have been protesting and marching and basically begging for on display yesterday. So we know it exists. And that's what pisses most of us off, is that white people in particular like to play this intellectual game as if what Black people are asking for, what Black organizations are asking for, is unrealistic. It's always comply. He shouldn't have ran. She shouldn't have ran. She should just do, it's better to be tried by 12 than to be carried by 6, and all the other whatevers that people love to say. But yesterday, how many law enforcement officials that were on scene feared for their lives? I know that there was one woman who got shot and sadly died, but she was in the act of breaking the law. So to take the same page that we're always told, she should have complied. But see, that's the thing. That's where we are in America. I would even disagree with the fact that many people say we have two Americas. No, we don't. We have white America, and everybody else just lives in it. That's how it's always been. And that's what we saw on display. White America asserting its dominance. White America saying that, yes, the left may have won the presidential election, but we are not going to allow you to assume the same power that we feel entitled to have. If you notice, we are watching white people become more and more emboldened. We are watching white people basically accosting Black people in public. How many videos have we seen of Black people minding their own business, and white people feeling entitled to question us, interrogate us, in some cases hold us hostage, and how many times in those instances have we watched law enforcement basically side with the white person? That's where we are in America. That's what we saw yesterday. White people holding America hostage. That's it. This isn't about Trump, even though he would love and he thrives on the attention. This is about the image of America in the minds of 70 million plus people who voted for him in this last election. My question, and I'm going to wrap up. My question is this. How many of the people who we saw yesterday are going back home or went back home to cities, towns, and whatnot in states and assumed positions of authority or leadership? How many of those people are now going back into, whatever town as the mayor or police chief or police officer? How many of those people are teachers, coaches? How many of those people are going to be in positions of influence and where they will be interacting with Black people and others? There was a story about a state representative from West Virginia who was up there with the domestic terrorists. And then when he went back, he tried to claim that he was there as a journalist. I heard that the lead editor from the conservative magazine, The Blaze, was also there on site. So we got to understand, this isn't just a bunch of, Yahoo redneck, white people who are just there because they love Trump. These are people at various levels of power and influence in society. And they were being supported by some of the most powerful white people in our government, and arguably being, protected by law enforcement officials and others, because there's still a lot of questions as to, was this truly a breakdown in understanding and preparation? Hell, Charleston, the city of Charleston and North Charleston created a better contingency plan for protest last year than we saw in the nation's capital. So that should tell you a lot, really. And we have to stop, and I do mean this. We have to stop acting as though we've never seen anything like this before. We have. Some of us may not. Some of our younger people may not. But those of us that are of a certain age, we know. And I think for a lot of people, it's just the shock of it happening now, happening in front of us. It's like watching a slow train wreck. You know it's a wreck and it's coming, but you still can't believe that you're standing there looking at it live and in living color. But I'm not. Next year is a pivotal year, 2022. I said this on my page. We've got gubernatorial elections coming up. We've got congressional. South Carolina will be on deck because we have a U.S. Senate seat. Senator Tim Scott's seat is up, and from what I've heard, he's not supposed to run, although that can change. Every sitting member of the House of Representatives will be up next year. Remember, those are 2-year terms, not 4, 2-year. Senate seats are 6-year. Every member of the state house in South Carolina will be up. We'll also have school board races here in Charleston County and whatnot. So I say all that to say, will our outrage turn into something meaningful? Will our outrage turn into tremendous turnout at the polls? We saw the nation's attention turn to Georgia once again for the 2 Senate seats for Reverend Warnock and
Ossoff.
So everybody was like, Georgia come through, Georgia come through. We got to stop that. We got to stop putting the weight of our failures on everybody else. Okay? We got to stop acting as if it's got to be down to the wire and almost in an act of desperation, because I want to speak to the beauty and bittersweet nature of what happened in Georgia. We saw what happened in November. We saw what happened with, blue states, red states that basically got turned blue. And what we saw that was really not spoken of enough was the power of the Black vote. Anybody who knows me knows I scream that. I fight against my own people sometimes, but I still hold out hope that over time they will understand where I'm coming from. And we saw that this week with Georgia. It was the blue counties, and primarily it was Black people once again. Stacey Abrams deserves every accolade she has gotten. But let's also not forget that it was the organizing strategies of grassroots Black organizations that once again turned the tide. Now, I'm going to say this for both the state, for the county, state, and national Democratic parties and leadership. Excuse my language. Y'all don't get no more from us. If y'all don't get your shit together, okay, we gonna have to walk away and do something else. Okay, we don't need to see platforms and candidates that are lukewarm because you're still going after moderates and centrists. People are tired of that. That's something that needs to change. You want to know why? Because on the other end of the spectrum, they are embracing the radicals. They are embracing the extremists. The more you can pull them to the right, the better. You know why? Because that's what's always been on the right side, whether whoever's on the right is a Republican or a Democrat. For those who understand history, we know that the right has never been right for Black people, period. It's never been. But what we have got to start asking now is, when will we, and I'm speaking about Black people, when will we get our due? This year is the last year that Black people need to carry water exclusively for the Democratic Party. Period. This is the last year that the Democratic Party needs to be able to come into our communities with lukewarm candidates who do nothing more than try to hit some very stereotypical points in order to win favor. We got to stop allowing the Democratic Party and political candidates to come in and tap dance around our issues and make us the photo ops on their way to whatever political office, and then all of a sudden they forget and they start pandering and catering to the white central class. And understand this: white moderates, whether they're liberal or conservative, Republican or Democrat, they sitting good. It's Black people who bear the brunt of legislation that doesn't help us move forward. Who's sitting at the bottom of every statistical category, from education, economic development, employment, all of that? Black people. Yet, each election cycle, who's carrying the weight? Black people. Okay? Black people are the ones sitting there, even fighting amongst ourselves, because I've had to have some very uncomfortable conversations with folks, but I'm at the point where after 2020, this is it. It ain't just about Stacey Abrams, because that's another thing. We deify, white folks will deify. They'll pick the Black person and be like, oh yeah, she's fantastic. You know what I want to see? I want to see white money get put into candidates at all levels. Jamie Harrison raised somewhere in the neighborhood of $54 million or whatever. But how much money did local candidates get? How much money was put into candidate development in neighborhoods that were predominantly Black? How much money did the Charleston County Democratic Party put into races where Black candidates were running? Like, this is the thing. Where's our return on our investment in the Democratic Party? And I'd say that not to say that, oh, we're going to go to the Republican Party, because I'm going to say it like this. The Republican Party as it stands right now, not just in South Carolina, not just in Charleston, but in America, they ain't shit for us. They're not. They are not. There is nothing, and I mean this with all sincerity, there is absolutely nothing that the Republican Party can point to for me that would ever make me say, yeah, you know what, I want to be a part of that. Not when they harbor and embrace unbridled racism. I even know that some of the people that are in the current party for Charleston County, they sit there with people who they know are racist. Okay, and this is a problem that the Black community has been faced with for decades. I'm not going to sit here and deny my people's plight to be acceptable to white people. I don't care whether they're Republican, Democrat, liberal, or conservative. If you do not mean my people well, you don't mean me well. And that's what this all is about. So next year in 2022, let's see what's going to happen. But this year, I'm going to make this shameless plug, and I'm going to go ahead and let you get your show back. Beyond the Ballot will launch January 15th, which is the true birthday for Dr. Martin Luther King. Beyond the Ballot will be South Carolina's turn to start changing the political landscape. There are far too many people that have hero worship for what happened in Georgia. There are far too many people that look at what Stacey Abrams and the organizations that helped her did, and they're like, yeah, they celebrated, but then when you look at South Carolina, it's like, oh no, we can't do that. I'm taking that on. I'm taking that on, and whether anybody believes in it or believes in me to do it, it's going to happen, because we can't keep sitting here allowing the same people to run unopposed, to have people who don't even know and understand the landscape of what elections are, what the offices that people are running for actually do. Shout out to Crystal Matthews, State Rep Crystal Matthews, for the tremendous work that she does to empower and educate people. And we need to be asking, why ain't our other representatives and whatnot doing the same thing? Why ain't the people who we've been giving our votes to election after election after election, coming back into our communities and making sure we good. How many of them are sitting up in Columbia or Washington, D.C. with doors closed, talking to lobbyists to get that lobbyist money so they can run their campaigns and grease their pockets, and then coming out telling us what they can't do for us? I'm done with that. I'm taking this on to make sure that we are educated as a people, Black people, about what it is to create our own political platforms and organize it around us, not candidates. We get pimped every election cycle because you have candidates who come in and we get swept up in the euphoria of being on so-and-so's campaign, being this. Where's the campaign for Black people? Where's the campaign for us to be able to see legislation that benefits us? In 2021, bro, we can say this. There is nothing, and I do mean absolutely nothing, stopping any legislator, any representative from introducing legislation specific to the Black community. That's a lie we believed our entire lives. Black politicians and white politicians both say, oh, it's too hard to do. Well, if it's too hard to do for you, then let's get somebody else who can do it for us. Yeah. That's it, bro. I'm sorry I took too much time.
My guy, hold on. My guy. Listen. I told y'all. I told y'all. I didn't say it. Didn't I say it right here on Real Talk with Rajon? Didn't I say it? Listen, man, thank you, bro. You know I love you. I appreciate you, man. I texted you. I was like, yo, man, I need you to come in, bless the microphone, and you did exactly what I needed you to do, man. Beyond the Ballot, I can't wait for that to get started. I've been getting text messages all through your speech. Like, that's just who AJ is, man. Follow him. Where can they find Beyond the Ballot?
So Beyond the Ballot is going to be launched multifaceted. We're probably going to have social media presence, Facebook, Twitter. We're debating on whether or not we're going to create a site exclusively or have it housed under Community Solutions. But we will make those announcements. You will be one of the exclusive media outlets that we go through. With that, we will make sure. But yeah, January 15th, we're kicking it off. It's going to be interactive. This is going to be interactive. I am hoping, I know she was on here, that Rep Matthews will, bless us little people. We want to highlight her because when I tell you everybody, and I listen, I give people like you, I say, if you don't love your local people, you don't need to love nobody else. Nah. So that's why when you ask me to come on, I'm coming on. We talk about Stacey, we need to be talking about Crystal.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We need to be talking about Crystal because when I say she's a beast up there in the house, she's a beast.
She's a beast.
She's a beast. So yeah. So I will make sure, bro, as soon as we finalize everything, you will get it. Help us promote it. As I said, this is going to be the interactive organizing political education platform for us, Black people here in South Carolina, Black people specifically here in the Tri-County area. We're going to move, bro. We got to move.
My guy, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, AJ. I'm going to give you another round of applause, man. I appreciate you, man. I'm going to take you off the camera, but I appreciate you. Reach out to AJ. He's dope. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. All right, so I'm taking AJ off the screen. Listen, man. Listen, I told y'all I created this night. Like this night, I'm not monologuing tonight. If you tuned in to hear me talk, you tuned in on the wrong night. Because what I really wanted to do was bring people in from the community who are feeling these feelings, who have experienced what we've experienced for the last 4 years. And we've all experienced it differently. So I don't even want to shade or provide a tone for the conversation. All I wanted to do was open up the cameras and say, come on, tell me how you feel. A gentleman that I know has been doing work not only the last 4 years, but as long as I've known him, he's out here in the community, he's doing work. He's also probably, I don't know. I'm interested in finding out. So we're gonna get into it a little bit. But my guy. When I tell you people are my friends, trust me, they're my friends. These are my real life friends. These are my real life friends. Listen, I don't call people on and be like, yo, this is my friend. We have known him my whole life. Like, this guy, and I got to tell people, this guy's mom and my grandmom were best friends. You understand me? Like, I've known this man almost my entire life, and I consider him a friend. And even when we disagree, I consider him a friend because that's what friends are. So please introduce yourself, brother. I want to ask you some questions.
Yo, yes, let the comment section blow up.
My guy, so we're going to go viral now. This is the part we go viral, I guess.
Nah, man.
listen. No, my guy, listen.
All right, what's up?
Let's do some questions.
Man, brother Shakem, y'all know me, man. Co-founder, Community Resource Center, North Charleston. Man, my specialty right now is creating programs, putting resources back in the community to help our people be able to create something on their own, so we don't have to, depend on another race to treat us fairly, and we don't have to depend on, changing the mind of people who historically haven't liked us to do something for us. I feel like a lot of times I've been a sacrificial lamb, but at the same time, I'm like a Toussaint L'Ouverture. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to go into enemy territory a lot of time to pull out the resources to help people to be able to survive and to be able to get themselves on their feet, and the people to have a space where they could come and be like, you know what? We appreciate that, Shakem, because we've been looking and we can't find nothing. So I feel like, I'm that type of brother, man, who will go out and find resources and match people with other people who have resources to build some sort of economic independence.
Thank you so much for that, man. And we got to go with this. So we talked about the last 4 years, and I definitely want to dig in there because I think I wouldn't be me. You know what it is.
Let's dig. Come on, let's go. Let's dig. Let's go. Let's go.
So
let's go.
Let's talk about the last 4 years. What has the Trump experience been like for you?
So this is the thing. Trump is a very controversial figure, right? He's done a lot of things that I agree with. You know what I'm saying? Because I try to look. I don't. A lot of they're racist and a bigot and things like that. Man, I've been black all my life. I ain't never been no other color. So I'm used to seeing bigotry, racism, hatred, and things like that. You know what? I think that we get sometimes too caught up on what other people are doing, and we've allowed ourselves to fall into the media manipulation, and we haven't said, you know what, where's our platform? What are we gonna do? I'm gonna tell you like this. The basis of politics is economics. I know this from working here in the political arena. If you don't have economic power, you don't have political power. You can plead, protest, argue, fuss, fight, beg, whatever. But if you don't have economic stability, if you don't have land, if you don't have infrastructure, bro, you're going to be out here complaining and doing whatever it is that you're doing for the next 100 years. All of these candidates right now, their decisions are influenced by their donors, not by the people, by the donors. But I listen, I ain't calling no names or nothing like that, but I know even a lot of black people in office locally who they deal from a perspective of their donors. Rightfully so. That's how they stay in office. Listen, when these guys go out here and run campaigning takes money. So if you sitting back and you're not helping these people get in office, you're not donating money, you're not contributing nothing, at the end of the day, they're gonna say, well, I can't depend on you to stay in office, because at the end of the day, how I'm gonna get my message across, how I'm gonna pay for social media expenses, how I'm gonna pay for signs, how I'm gonna pay for radio ads, television ads. Well, listen, everybody always talk about, I'm gonna talk about this, Ben Navarro and the Coalition for Kids. Dudes, we'll sit back and talk about the Coalition for Kids all day long and philosophize and all of that other stuff about Ben Navarro and the Coalition for Kids. I don't agree with a lot of stuff they do too, because I think it's foolishness. But at the end of the day, bro, they putting their money where their mouth is. Bro, when we start, if you write a check for $100, write a check for $200. If you like Crystal Matthews, write a check for $300. If you like Wendell Gilliard, write him a check for $400. If you like these people, when they got, listen, AJ brought up something about lobbyists. Bro, we don't have any real black influential lobbyists in Charleston, in Columbia. I was talking to Jay Moore the other day, and he was telling me about a bill that he has right now that he's pushing to help black farmers get subsidies because the black farming industry has been hurt, but it has the potential to grow. See, these are the type of bills that we need to get behind because there's economic opportunity. So if you have land, you have capital, and you have the ability to generate income. But that is a real heavy focus that we're missing out. So I understand screaming about, oh man, listen, I read strategy books like all day. So I was reading, I read The Art of War, Sun Tzu, 33 Strategies of War. I read all those books. When you start talking about what happened yesterday, right? Napoleon Bonaparte gave a quote, and he said, when the enemy is committing suicide, do not intervene. So why are you mad at the Capitol Police? If you say, okay, I got white supremacists who I don't like, they're going fighting other white people who you don't like, just hypothetically. Why are you mad? So what? Let them beat each other in the head and kick each other. Listen, the greatest strategy that the enemy has ever used against black people was the divide and conquer strategy. When they see black people fighting each other and killing each other and all of that, but you think they sitting there trying to hold peace treaties? And no, they're like, hey, let them go, man. Well, black on black crime in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about that. They're focused on getting themselves to a level to where they can continue to stay in power and compete. But so what if you're saying all these people white supremacists and they go into the Capitol and fighting each other? Good job, Capitol Police. Good job. You're supposed to let them come in there and do whatever they want to and beat each other in the head and slap each other and shoot each other and all that. That's good for you. If that's your enemy, right? But see, the thing is, we get so busy, we're trying to put ourselves in the position. If that was all black people, and this, okay, I understand that. We can have that discussion. I ain't saying it's not legit, but at the end of the day, why aren't we saying, how can we take advantage of a situation where we see our enemy divided, we see our enemy fighting each other, we see the enemy is in a frenzy, chaos, panic? How do we take advantage of a situation like this to our advantage? How do we do it? These are the things that we have to start talking about, getting in rooms and saying, listen, bro, the enemy right now, they distracted, they fighting each other. How can we come in and utilize this stuff? And they do that to us all the time. But like I said, 2021 is the year of Suge Knight politics, it seems like. But it's either Big Meech and Suge Knight politics in 2021. It turned into a whole game of being ruthless. Well, if we start, that's why one of my big visions and goals for the Community Resource Center in North Charleston, and bro, I had to fall on the sword. I don't even care. I had to fall on the sword because at the end of the day, I say, you know what? I see an opportunity where we can get a location, we could jump in and start helping people in the food desert. We could start educating kids. We could put up a computer lab. We got the boxing program. We got karate. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting here like a little junior Master P trying to think of everything that I can do to become a successful entrepreneur and give back to my people. So what if I had to go through Keith Summey to get tax money? Who cares? I'm getting it for my people. But my people are if Shakem was keeping money and stealing and all of that other stuff, bruh, call me whatever. But bruh, we got to be able to think strategically. We got to be strategists, and we have to think of ways how we can think outside of the box to help build our communities. But that's my whole focus right now. I understand that we have to have conversations about race relations and this and that. But one thing I heard Trump say, people was like, oh, that was the biggest truth. And I heard real Pan-Africanists like Dr. Amos Wilson and all of them say the same thing. The best way to defeat racism is through economic prosperity. It's about the money. When you start getting that money, because you ain't gonna never convince you wasting your time trying to convince somebody to be morally upstanding. You don't try to convince them. But at the end of the day, but if we start stacking our money and we start embracing local black businesses, but I hang with a lot of local black business owners. Like I hang with a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? You might see me in pictures and all of that. But you know what? Like, they don't have the support of a lot of local black politicians. But it's such a big divide between the local black business owners and the local activists, right? Because I could point to black business owners who have problems with zoning. I could talk about Hollywood. He'll come and tell he's had issues with zoning in Berkeley County, the city of Goose Creek, trying to open up business. I can go about, even look at Courtney. You got a lot of influential black, I could go on and on and on and talk about local black entrepreneurs who have trouble with just getting around certain things to create and establish businesses. Even when you talk about taxes and all of that. But why we can't go on their behalf and talk about tax breaks and tax cuts and things like that? Well, all we need is an agenda, but we need to have black people. How many black millionaires you know right now in the city, in this area, who put their money and invest behind the political future of our people?
None.
No, you don't know where they're at. You got black millionaires around here all the time. Yeah, we got them. You don't ever see them. They don't support none of that. When we go hang out together, we might go in certain restaurants and stuff. You know what I asked them? I say, man, listen, bro, you got all of this money, bro. You a millionaire. Like your family got this and that, or you got this and that. You a millionaire. Like why aren't you actively trying to help the people in the area? Why aren't you not even outspoken, but where are you when it comes to helping people with the wealth that and I ain't saying giving nothing free, but giving people things strategically? Where are you in this process? But they can never answer me. They can't, because they're disconnected from the political arena and then the activist arena. It's like a whole nother world when you start talking to that particular class of people. But at the end of the day, if it don't matter if it's the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, whatever, it all boils down to who has the means of economic superiority. They're the ones who get their voices heard. They're the decision makers. And when it comes down to the tough decisions that politicians have to make, they look at who donated money to their campaign first.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I've been in this game too long. I see it.
So I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'm going to let you go on your way because I know you got a lot of things to do tonight.
Now, you've been on for a while, bro.
Hey, man, listen. Yeah, but that's what I'm doing it. I want to ask you this question because, again, I want to make sure I'm transparent because, people are going to ask. Because you have tied yourself to the MAGA. I supported plenty of things Trump did. No, like, this is the thing. Plenty things. I know. That's what I'm saying. Was that something that you will be proud of 10 years from now? Absolutely, because at the end of the day, I live for Shakem, right? If you do something good, I'm gonna praise you. If you do something bad, this is the type of mentality that we have to have. I'm ruthless with my mentality, bro. I'm straight ruthless. If I like something Trump did, I'm gonna say, you know what? I like that. I don't give a damn if you Democrat, Republican. I don't care. If somehow my people can benefit, I don't have to go through a checklist of, oh, he's not racist, he's this and that. Give us our tax dollars. Okay. If that racist dude is giving our tax dollars, that ain't his money. That's our money. But that ain't your money. That's our money. Let me get that. I don't owe anybody any loyalty if you're not doing what's right. So I flip on you tomorrow.
You might say, well, damn, Shakem, you said Trump did good today, but then tomorrow you criticizing him. That's good. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a free thinker. But it's about what can benefit my community. When Trump gave the money to HBCU, good job. When he was helping with prison reform, good job. I know brothers who got out of prison because of the legislation he passed. You think them brothers say, man, I ain't getting out of prison because Trump let me out and he's a racist? No, them brothers home chilling. They said, man, let's get up out of here. Well, we gotta stop being get so caught. See, the enemy likes to keep us caught up on because we always talk about white privilege, right? Do you see white people saying we're not gonna take advantage of any particular legislation that the Trump campaign passed? Do you hear all these white allies you say you got, and they talk about white privilege and all that? Show me one white person that took that stimulus check and threw it in the trash because they said it came from a racist. But they playing on our intelligence. Oh, you shouldn't take money from white supremacists and all that. I understand that. We don't owe no allegiance to them. But how many they took that $1,200 from Trump? Bro, listen, we gotta go to war for our community. Do what we can, get the resources, circulate it in the community, do what's right, because at the end of the day, whoever is able to bring the resources to provide opportunity is gonna win the battle. I'm telling you, I done studied too much revolution. I done seen. If you study, and I'm gonna be on after this. If you study the revolutions in Africa, and you study a lot of the African liberation movements and things like that, like the freeing Kenya and Mozambique and all of this other stuff, bro, they took resources from their open enemy, built their armies, and then killed that same enemy who they got the resources from. But they did that. You just got to be a strategist and you got to be a general to be able to look at the field and say, listen, bro, I'm going to take whatever I get, but guess what? I'm going to use it to destroy my enemy. And until we start getting that type of mindset, bro, we ain't going nowhere.
Listen, you answered every question I had. You didn't back down from anything I asked you.
Well,
and I appreciate you and I love you for it. And I always tell you, I tell everybody all the time, like my friends are my friends, like legit. And the conversation that I'm having with you right now, me and you could have had anywhere because this is what we do. That's actually how it is. When we disagree, we don't do it on the face. I don't do the whole back and forth on Facebook thing, but I will pick up the phone and I will call you. And you know that. And you do the same for me. And I appreciate that.
I'm gonna sign off with this. Bro, I have brothers and sisters who have nonprofit organizations who come to me and say, Shakem, bro, can we do this? Can we do that? Or can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? Even Lewis too. Help us with this. Help us with that. But we always funding. But any dollar that we get, any penny that we get, but can't nobody right now who runs a nonprofit organization right now say that they came to Shakem and Lewis and asked them for their assistance and them brother acted crazy and turned us down. But when people want to do food drives to organize in their community, but we gotta connect. We do that. But man, listen. But it's about bringing resources to the community and helping our community get empowered. And when we get empowered, then we could turn around and have another conversation.
My guy. I appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Peace and love.
Peace. Listen, that's what it is. That's what it is. I appreciate somebody coming in, owning their truth. He stepped up. He answered every question. He didn't back down from it. So if anybody like, oh, you just came on, you didn't ask him any questions, I asked him all the questions. He answered all the questions. So if you got questions with him, go to his inbox. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And I'm going to move on to my next guest. This gentleman does so much work in the community. Like I met him, I want to say in 2016 or 2017, doing some work with a back to school drive that we were putting together in Somerville. He's does amazing work with the Jewish community and the larger community, impacting all communities, regardless of race, regardless of background, regardless of religion. He's the guy, this guy's guy. If you got some free food in the city, chances are it came through Brandon Fish. What up, B? You're on mute.
I've been watching this program. I thought I was late because it was an hour already, and I caught a lot of interesting programming. Before we even go any further, first of all, AJ Davis, Marcus McDonald, really big admirer, want to meet him. I do a lot of work on the east side with some of the organizers over there, and I've just heard the most amazing things about the work he's doing. Computer labs down there on the east side, making sure that kids are staying on their school tasks at a time when they might not have supervision because their parents are at work. Just amazing stuff with the city. AJ, I've known AJ for a long time. There's so much truth in what he said. The strategy that he's talking about. Highly recommend listening to. There's a New York Times podcast that comes out every day called The Daily, and they did a 2-part episode about Stacey Abrams, but really more about the strategies that entire movement used in Georgia to rally the Black residents in Georgia to make the Democratic Party a major force. And we've talked about different kinds of power, economic power, and AJ talked a lot about political power. And I truly believe that if AJ Davis puts his mind to educating voters, to organizing community members, to harnessing the political power of Black South Carolinians, the amount of influence that the Black community can yield is huge, and our entire state would benefit from it. If you're talking about Democrats in the South, Democratic power in the South, you're talking about Black communities across the South. Those are facts. And the Democrats don't pay enough attention to that. I'll be the first to tell you that. And like he said, this is not a time for lukewarm candidates. It's not a time for lukewarm people in general. If we're in 2021, and say you're late to these issues, if you didn't come out of 2021 educating yourself about systemic racism, I don't know what to say to you. And if you want to be a leader in 2021 and 2022 and not be vocal about systemic racism, I mean, I don't know how you can ask educated people to vote for you. So Beyond the Ballot, I think it was called, and like Shakem suggested, I definitely want to write a check to that. I don't make a lot of money. I work for a nonprofit, but what I can afford, I'd love to support. And if you don't need any support off the books, with your website, any kind of data entry work, I'm all for it. I just heard before I came on the program, actually Shakem, I think, shared it, that a police officer died from the events that took place yesterday on Capitol Hill. And the rumor, at least on Twitter, and I don't like to traffic in rumors, but that, first of all, the news is reporting that it's as a result of injuries sustained at the hands of protesters. And I heard that we were talking about a fire hydrant hitting somebody on the head, hitting a police officer on the head. And, this is a solemn time for that officer, but, and I know there have been a lot of comparisons here, but imagine if a police officer had died on King Street. People need to be held accountable for this behavior, and it's just outrageous. We put out a statement today talking about this insurrection and trying to preach a message of unifying, but it's like a lot of people are just waking up from a 4-year trance and realizing that a lot of things that they've been engaging in have been incredibly damaging, not only to our society, but to our democracy. We watched a lot of politicians suddenly wake up yesterday evening in the halls of the Senate and in the State House. And I was watching earlier in the day, kind of one eye on the computer screen working and one eye watching the Senate debate to certify, to talk about the objections to the Arizona certification. And I watched as like the senator from Oklahoma was speaking, and Pence had to be like rushed out of the room. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine that was happening in our Capitol. I mean, I thought when I saw that it was like a protester that had made their way into the gallery or something. But having seen the speech our president gave for an hour before all this took place, is not surprising at all to me that we're seeing what we saw unfold. You know, I'm grateful that there's going to be a change in leadership. I hope, and I'm not saying that things ever were a good normal, and I don't think things should get back to normal because the status quo wasn't good. I mean, there are a lot of changes that need to be made, but I'm hoping that discourse can get to a point where we are not vilifying people with different opinions, that we're not making enemies out of people, because I truly believe that that conversations can still be had. They don't always change people's minds, but it's on some of us to pull the people that we know back and say, look at these facts. Like, you've been listening to garbage, propaganda, kind of strange online meme, QAnon news sources, and these just aren't facts. Like, I've already heard that a lot of rumors online that these protesters that stormed the Capitol already, they're trying to blame it on Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and they're infiltrators. Like, I know some of these people, some of these Antifa type people and Black Lives Matter people. I have friends that associate themselves that way. And we're not talking about a worldwide international terror network that's infiltrating protests and doing false flag operations. We're talking about people that essentially want to show up to neo-Nazi rallies and get in fights with Nazis. I mean, that's what they were in Europe when they really came up. That's what the intention was, I think, in the States. That's not to say that that's everybody, but yeah, that was I just went on a long rant, but
no, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you giving me that, like the way you felt. Like like I said, everybody's experienced these last 4 years differently. So we all have different things that when we think about it, the emotions that come to mind that we want to express. I want to ask you this. As a gentleman of the Jewish faith, how was these last 4 years impacted you as a gentleman of the Jewish faith?
So I'm gonna speak to you because a lot of times when we talk about food distribution, and I think that at the nonprofit that I work at, before that, I worked a lot in activism, and coming onto the Federation, the Jewish Federation, the piece that I grabbed onto when I first started there was food distribution. And it's something we continue to do. We've expanded dramatically. We've helped grassroots groups get a start distributing food. We were there at the beginning of the Community Resource Center in Somerville, in North Charleston, helping out, and in other places. But the job that I kind of grabbed hold of and created for myself at the Federation now is directing what's called the Jewish Community Relations Council. And the goal of the Jewish Community Relations Council is to advocate for issues that matter to our Jewish community, but also really to build these bridges and networks with the rest of the Low Country community, and generally try to advocate for issues that Jewish people care about, which tend to be social justice issues. Our community cares very much about what's going on around us, and about advocating for our neighbors as well. So, but as in that position, I get the chance to work with a lot of national organizations that track racism and anti-Semitism and all forms of hate. And I don't think that I'm speaking politically. Well, everything is political, but I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say that all the groups that track hate in America has seen in the past 4 years an incredible rise in anti-Semitic rhetoric, in racist rhetoric, openly. Not to say those things don't exist at the systemic level, not to say that those things haven't always been there, but their expression on both online and in person and in terms of acts of hatred you can track in the past 4 years how they've exploded. And that comes from leadership. That comes in part from the leadership that you have and the example that's being set by our leadership. The other thing that we've been tracking is there's been more violence. There's been more violence directed against minority groups. And we've seen, even within our community, our Jewish community, huge divides. There's Republican and Democratic Jews, and you'll hear me talk a lot in kind of nonpartisan terms as much as I can, but because I work for a nonprofit. But the past 4 years have been a really ugly 4 years for the Jewish community. We had a mass murder attack at a synagogue in Pittsburgh a couple years back, followed by a string of anti-Semitic violent incidents in New York City. Our synagogues here, a couple of them have been vandalized. We had the Holocaust Memorial vandalized downtown for the first time since it was erected. We've had to create security programs that didn't exist before, to protect people going to synagogue, so they'll be safe and not targeted by white supremacists. Yeah. And I think overall, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, is that we've seen a real mainstreaming of hate, right? Like groups that used to be happy living on the fringe of things, neo-Nazi groups, white supremacist groups, white nationalist groups, people that are overtly hateful. We've seen them pulled into the mainstream of American politics. We've seen them pulled into the mainstream of American society. Things that it wasn't acceptable to believe openly were made acceptable in the past 4 years. And I think we've all witnessed that, and that's a very dangerous thing.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you coming on. You
absolutely.
You waited to come through, man, and I appreciate it. And anytime I turn this camera on, you're welcome to come on the show and
hey,
let us know what's going on with you, man.
I was just happy to watch your other guests. Certainly, it was nothing if not interesting. And anytime I could get AJ to talk to me for 30-40 minutes, it's a good day. And even though he wasn't talking directly to me, I got to extract a lot of knowledge from everything that he said. And I hope if he's watching that he I'll contact him anyways. But if you're watching, AJ, please contact me about Beyond the Ballot. I want to figure out a way that I could be personally supportive, but also to see if my organization could be supported.
He's in there watching, so he definitely heard you. Thank you so much,
Great.
Brandon. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, when y'all got something coming up, do you want to let's bring you on just to talk about what you're doing with that work? All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to do that. Let's link it up sometime in 2021. I'm trying to get everything
all right.
booked, so let's do that.
Oh, and I just want to say before you turn me off, I want to say I know you suffered a huge loss earlier this year, and you were considering not continuing on with this program. And I'm just so happy to see that you're still doing it. And I think it's such a service to the community because you're putting a lot of people on that don't have a chance to get on those mainstream news sources that don't get the airtime. And it's nowhere else in Charleston where AJ is going to be able to hop on the mic and talk for 45 minutes, and that is incredibly valuable to the community.
Yeah.
So
praise
I'm
God.
glad you're here.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
That means a lot. That means a lot, bro. Thank you, man. Man, wow.
Good night.
Things. Good night, bro. You see, they're in here trying to make me feel. You see how this goes? I come in here, open my camera for these people, and they try to make me cry. But I told y'all I'm not doing that because I'm from the streets, and that's not what we do in the streets. All right. I'm not Van Jones. Again, Van Jones. Don't call my show crying. Don't do that. All right. Next up, man. Listen. My brother, My brother. What up, Eric Jackson, aka Big E, aka Mr. R3, aka Mr. Laundromat, aka Mr. Hey, listen, this man got so many jobs, aka Mr. Boxing Gym.
What's up?
My guy.
You doing all right?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed, man.
Up, man. You know, you reached out. I said, well, I have to make sure we go on, man. You feel me?
I appreciate you, man. You know, anytime this camera comes on, you open, man. You here for it, bruh. What you got for me?
Well, I'm going to come from a whole different perspective of what has been going on for the last 4 years. I work with the youth cold-heartedly, man. This is something that I've been doing for the past 15 years. And I have a 15-year-old son, man, and my 15-year-old son told me, like, Dad, y'all just, like, adults just ain't cool no more. And I've been like, huh? He been like, man, all this stuff going on, all the negativity going on, y'all just ain't cool no more. I've been like, man, and I say it's just rough out here. I was kind of hurt in the beginning because he was like, adults telling the kids we got to get along, you know, and find ways to make things happen and work together, but the adults ain't doing it. And I was like, man, I was just having this conversation with my 15-year-old son, and I was feeling some type of way, but he wasn't lying. So I just think that we're going to have to take a pause, man, and just make sure that we're doing temperature checks with our kids, making sure that they understanding what's going on around them, especially being an African-American father, 2 young males. You know, my son had to experience George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, you know what I'm saying? And in my household, we have these open conversations because I want to know how he feel, you know? So, like, race relations is big for me, just for them. You see what I'm saying? So, like, this is where I'm at with it. We got to start having some real conversations with our young people. We have to bring them back into the fold. Everything that, you know, AJ is talking about with Beyond the Ballot, we're doing the youth version of it with R3. And we most definitely are partner with you, Rajon, because guess what? Who's our future voters, right? Our 17-year-old, we got to start registering them now to get ready to vote, right? So, like, that's what I want people to kind of have the issues on what happened on yesterday, but also take a step back and look at what the younger people thinking, you know, how they feeling, because they still living in this world, you know? So, like, that's what I want people to kind of start off with their process. What we putting in place for them to communicate with, right? Because who they talking to? All parents don't know exactly what's going on. You see what I'm saying? Right. I had to look up the definition of what they say, insurrection, the whole
insurrection.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I never heard of it before. Right? You laughing? You see what I'm saying? But I'm being honest. So
I know you good.
So we have to have these conversations. Other than that, you know, I always kind of look at things like, okay, so let me take a step back. I surround myself with brothers like yourself, AJ Davis, Samuel Bellamy, my little nephew David White, and those are the type of people that I surround myself with. So I'm always getting challenged on an intellectual level to become better. But I always got the keep it real side of me, you know. And I kind of go into areas that most people won't go into to deal with some of the kids that most people don't want to deal with. So I take that into consideration when we have these conversations, because I listen to what they have to say, right? To the kids that don't really get the mic put in their face or shy away from the camera, we have conversations that sound just like what the adults are talking about right now, dealing with racism and discrimination. So that's where I'm at with it, man. You know, we just have to really start having real conversations. And other than that, man, we took the last 4 years with all the craziness going on with COVID-19, and we bowed. You know, we started Community Solutions Consultant in the middle of a pandemic, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. This year right now is going to be the 10th year of R3 Inc. 10 years in the nonprofit sector in Charleston ain't easy, but we did it, you know. And we also got Low Country Black Parent Association that we started in the middle of a pandemic. We took the information of our communities struggling and we organized it. And we made it into a platform to be able to share information, right? So, I mean, I just want people to take some of that negativity and we got to bold and make positive moves with some of that negativity that's going on out there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I appreciate you, bro. I want to ask you one last question before I get you out of here. Because you mentioned something that you know is near and dear to my heart. Anytime we talk about young people, we like you and me, me, Sam, and AJ. That's our link. Like no matter what's going on in the world, if you talk about kids, the four of us want to talk about it, and people can see the group threads that we got, our group chat. They'll know like I try to talk to y'all more than I talk to anybody else in that group chat. But with the last 4 years. With what's going on the last 4 years, what are you telling the youth about how to use what we've seen to become better people?
Well, I always inform them you just have to be positive at all times. Always, like I tell my kids that I coach, I say always be coachable, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't know everything about what's going on. Have true and honest dialogue with one another. And all business ain't everybody business. Right? Okay. So I have these conversations with them. So I'm telling them to really understand what's going on around them. I tell, like one thing I learned a couple of years ago is to put things into context.
Yeah.
You can't react off of emotions. Understand both sides of the story. And always try to be positive at all times with, you know, the situation. That ain't easy, but that's some of the things that we have to start practicing. And we have to start giving our kids those tools. It's like a toolbox, right? Yep. Think about it. Think about it at your job. Every year you have to take a refresher or you have to take CEU units to keep your accreditation. I think that's some of the things we have to put in place for our kids. We have to put that in place for our youth. Yeah. We put a lot of expectations on them, but who's doubling back to make sure that they are right with the information that we're giving them? So that's one of the things that we do. We give our kids a lot of tools. We talk about things like decision making, you know, and people are like, huh? Yeah, like they got to make decisions. You're going to make good decisions. You're going to make bad decisions. We talk about the consequences of your decision. Yeah. You know, so I'm big on reading. I tell them, I say, you have to stop reading just to be reading. You have to read to comprehend what you're reading. Yeah. You know, so little things like that, man, and giving them a toolkit on how to become active readers.
Yeah,
you know, so those are some of the things that we're doing, man. You know,
I love it, man. You already know I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for sticking up with me tonight. I value your friendship. I value your realness. Like that's something that you don't get in a whole lot of people. A lot of people, you know, give you that sugar coat, but you get no sugar coat from E. There's no sugar, there's no coating of the sugar from E. So I appreciate you, bro. Tell the wife I said hello, and y'all enjoy your night, man.
All right, y'all have a good evening, man. Thank you for having me.
You already know, man. I appreciate you. Love y'all. Peace.
One love.
All right, my last guest for the night. Listen. My last guest for the night, I want to thank every guest. I'm going to do it a thank you at the end. But my last guest for the night is actually somebody I've been trying to meet for a while. Listen, I know him as Lil Sid. To me, he's Lil Sid. All right? But on these Facebook streets, and I see he just went away from his camera. He's like, he's about to jump through the screen or something. In these Facebook streets, he goes by the name of Robert Drake. What up, my brother? What's going on?
Praise the Lord, brother man. What's going on?
What's up, black man? What's going on?
Man, too much. I got kids.
First question. Where's David?
I'm not revealing my brother's location out like this via the internet. He's in God's hands. That's all I'm saying.
Word. Just tell myself what's up. All right. Introduce yourself. Go ahead, Cook.
All right. I'm Donald Sid. Black man. Don't need to know all my business like that.
All right. I love it. All right. Word. So the last 4 years, man, I'm gonna let you run. I'm gonna open the screen up. I'm gonna let you say everything you need to say. This your platform right now. You say what you need to say. Cook.
All right. Off top. Something that we saw happen in damn DC yesterday. It's nothing new and it's nothing unfamiliar. What we see is we got scores of obvious racist white people finding new ways to cover their racism. They're going to delegitimize black votes, basically, and to take their country back. We keep hearing this rhetoric over and over again. Make America great, take your country back, blah, 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 blah. Trump election, whatever, it might be shaky, but still. I mean, America's changing to a point that more black people get involved. There's way less, I guess you want to say, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant whites involved who will be a cliche racist. I mean, we see all these things on the news. They go through, tear it up. I know it caused a lot of excitement. Throughout the whole summer, I've been calling this past 2020 Black Lives Summer, basically, for obvious reasons. All Black Lives Summer, you see things happen on the news. People locally go out and tell them. Don't let the media cite you. Don't let all this division happen, blah, 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 whatever. But to keep it extremely real, we see people that we know, by name and just locations in Charleston. They go there. Then they come back. And they cause the same uproar locally. You ain't got to bullshit about it. These people got names. Corey Allen, fucking Overton Report, Tyler Bessinger, Mara Broderick, something that's like that for the Republican Party. And I'll be real with you. Shakem and damn Brandon, they're like my brothers. They took half the words I wanted to fucking say. But damn, we see the jokes. AJ said, if it was black people, that wouldn't have happened. Obviously. I'm not going to say I wish anybody got killed or anything like that, but the fact that the amount of preparation that was given, they basically put out flyers for an event that said, provoke a revolution, whatever rhetoric. They put the location of where it's going to be there. Saying white privilege is becoming more and more cliche every time you hear it. But I've been to small gatherings, just locally in Charleston, just peaceful in the middle of the day. You go there, the snipers on the roof. You go to certain protests that evolve to civil unrest or riots later on. They already got the Humvees, they got the damn police and riot gear, whatever. You didn't see that much going on in damn Washington, D.C. and the Capitol building of America. And there ain't no way on earth you could tell me that dang Market Street, downtown Charleston is more secure than the Capitol building of America. And Shakem brought up a real good point. Yeah, we live in a democracy. It's a democratic republic and we got a lot of democratic traits to them, but we vote for people. Then they go and represent us. We hope that they go to the White House and pass the legislation we want. But obviously, I'm Sid, I'm just one individual. XYZ, whatever representative, he's going to prioritize whoever's helped paying him to keep his job more than just me or just a collective group of just ordinary motherfuckers like me. And for example, Jamie Harrison, he was a lobbyist. He was a healthcare lobbyist. Black people, we have people that we rally around. We got a lot of mascots. Like you said, we get caught up in a lot of euphoria. But you turn around at the end of the day, these people that we vote around, this ain't the first time that black people had to carry an election. First time Trump won, there was some news passing that, well, not enough black people voted, blah, 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 whatever. Now that Trump lost, allegedly by the skin of his teeth, really is because a lot of black people that now a lot of people want to delegitimize their votes. They went out and voted. And I'm not the political expert or whatever, but I know a lobbying is. I can see things are being inserted. This COVID bill that just got passed, whatever. This ain't the first bill that ever got passed, and they call it pork or whatever, a lot of fluff. We see a lot of things inserted into that bill that got nothing to do with coronavirus. Things for people, pets. You got aid and stuff like that going to other countries, whatever. And I mean, if there's really some type of legislation that needs to get passed, we need to ask each other, well, our representatives, why isn't the change that we want to see as just concerned Americans for our neighbors or just Black people in general not happening to begin with? And I mean, Black people, as far as the political process, I mean, we're just seen as, I don't know, like shit, the bench on the damn basketball team or something. You pull it out when you use all your options and there ain't nothing else, and everybody else is injured. And on top of that, I mean, we see Stacey Abrams, more power to her for getting, I mean, she got everybody in the land to vote. I mean, they didn't make a movie, Madea Goes to Vote, because I think she voted too. Dang, you can have somebody like Stacey Abrams go to vote. You got every Black person, their grandmama go out to vote. At the end of that, once we send somebody to the White House or wherever, they turn around, they say, okay, what type of agenda legislation needs to be passed for Black people? Everybody's looking around, looking crazy. I'm not gonna say looking crazy, but I mean, I joke about it a lot. There's no central location of the Black delegation where Black people just sitting around staring at each other, making decisions. And I mean, maybe that's just a generational thing, because nowadays we like to celebrate not being a monolith versus probably our grandparents. That's not even that far away generation. I mean, on top of that, what change can we really expect if we don't have any type of paid lobbyists, economic interests, or just any like clear motives or agenda? Because I mean, this last 4 years has been wild. I mean, I ain't the only person who heard this who probably said it, comparing it to a TV show. I mean, Trump, America wasn't as apocalyptic as what we thought it would be. But to be honest, we see a lot of things as Black people. I mean, going to 2021, you can't be done with nothing like that. We see things get advertised and promoted to us, reasons to vote for whatever party. I mean, to begin with, I don't know, first it talked about, I don't know, Hispanic people are voting or whatever. Hispanic kids in cages, Trump's racist, blah, 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 whatever. Election time come, most Hispanics vote for Trump. What's going on right there? You see a lot of things going on, such as you see a lot of police brutality that gets turned to national issues, as it should be. But you turn around and honestly, once you ask some type of, like on a federal level, they'll tell you that's really a state issue. You turn around and go back to these state issues, you see that you got gate holders or whatever in your city. You see, man, we live in Charleston. We know what's up. You see these same racist people protesting downtown, the same racist rhetoric. We take it as not a joke or whatever. And I mean, none of these people got vetted going to DC on their way up there, even though they advertised it, even though they have buses going up there. They didn't get pulled over for being a white identity extremist. I mean, we only hear about 4 people being mortally wounded or killed. And they come back over here, and now we're supposed to not take them serious or whatever. And I mean, it's like extremely, our social climate is extremely aware, but at the same time, it's extremely passive and lukewarm. And I mean, by the time these people from DC that we know from South Carolina who went up there or supported these things come back down home, you can make all the Facebook posts, all the media, whatever you want to say. You want to say all if Black people did this, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But you know these people, they probably co-sign you at the same time. You're not going to do nothing about it. I mean, it's just it's coming like cyclical confusion. I don't know if I said that word right. I ain't take the SAT in a minute. Feel me, bro?
I definitely feel you. I definitely feel you. Yeah, I think you made a lot of good points about, you know, the things that's going on in the country, the way you see it. And like I said, I think it's important that we view this thing from so many different angles. I want to ask you this. What do you expect? Okay, I'll ask you this. What would be the right direction for the next 4 years in our country for Black people?
I mean, a personal mantra of mine is, I read it, so we're trying to revolutionize personal relationships on a grassroots level. And all politics is local politics. As Black people, this ain't new to me. I know it shouldn't be new to you. A lot of us, we don't get interested or acclimated or just even halfway involved into like national politics or just on a federal level until election time comes. Honestly, nobody even, I haven't heard, I was surprised that so many people I know knew about Lindsey Graham record by the time Jamie Harrison come along. I mean, on one end, you really can't blame people because it's easy to see how people will get disheartened. You know the type of change that you want to see. You know what will affect you, your lifestyle, and your community. But you know that there's somebody in office that don't represent your views at all. And I mean, the only thing you can do for 4 years is basically wait it out. Pray to God that they don't change the real rules to America that's going to stop you from getting a job or making money or something like that. And I mean, I really wish that on a local level, I mean, I'm not huge into politics, but it affects our lifestyle today, just the environment that we in, and just our local social capital environment that we live in. It ultimately is affected, and it affects our politics. I really wish that we get to see more involvement in Black community building. I mean, praise God that we got brothers here like AJ talking about on that vote initiative. I forgot the one dude name. He said he talking about it for 17-year-olds. I mean, that's a big deal because, I mean, being part of that election process, that really needs to be drilled into your head when you in high school. And I mean, going forward, I mean, especially on the school level, we see so many historical things happen in America, but we really don't know how these things being discussed in our classrooms. I mean, ever since Trayvon Martin and Black Lives Matter emergence and all type of stuff, it's Trayvon Martin. Do we really know if it's in any of our children, sons, daughters, nieces, and nephews' school books? But that's historical, and we need to know how that's going to be told in the future. We see what happened yesterday. Is that going to be in our children's school books? We need to know if it. I believe it should, and we need to know how it's going to be told and who's going to be saying that. And I hate the term saying narrative over and over again. We just need to say what happened, how it happened. As soon as you hear somebody say narrative, they might be inserting a twist to it to make it more appealing to whatever agenda or preconceived notions they had. What we all have to agree with is people went to the nation capital of America, alleged leader of the free world, to the building where they wrote the laws for a man. I mean, I don't want to talk about my Trump business right now, but yeah, pretty much lost. And they tried, like somebody said, holding the country hostage because they want to delegitimize Black votes. That has to be told, but will it be told? If this type of information, it's not even information, if this type of current events is being explained to our youth and just being regulated just to normal people, I mean, we got to learn about the most of this through dang social media. I mean, I hate to say it, shit, I looked at the Overton report to see what the hell was going on over there to get most of the shit. I don't know if Live 5 is going to do it. I mean, I go to protests downtown. You had Black Lives Matter Antifa on this side. Then you got Proud Boys and closet racists on one side. But you see what side of the street the news is walking with, and you're like, hold up, why are y'all over there? And it's just extremely standoffish. So going forward, something I'd like to see is a real explanation of our social climate. I mean, today's world, we got the luxury of, we got a lot of things. I mean, Black people, we easily distracted. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Stacey Abrams did an amazing job. But as soon as I saw that she opened up a rap battle for two dudes who probably couldn't even vote, I was confused. But I was like, hey, I hope the snowman bring it in. We just got a lot of distractions in our world. Just a lot of luxuries of being just almost that we live in oblivion, being oblivious. And I mean, going forward, real involvement in just the world immediately around you. And I'm not saying go outside, get a sign, and just stand on the street and holler at people and call them racist. I mean, there's brothers like you could put on. I mean, there's no excuses at this point. Everybody got Facebook, everybody got internet access. And if you don't, go to a library. Those things still exist to get on one. And on top of that, not only just holding local officials accountable. I mean, I know we love to see representation. And I know that we love to see there's people that look like us in those places. We only have one opportunity per 4 years, or however long the time period is, to put somebody like that in it. If they don't get in, which is going to be most of the time, we got to figure out how to deal with whoever's there at that moment. And I mean, you got to give it up to brothers like Shakem. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you voted for Summy or not for the past generation, he has a lot of authority and say so over all tax dollars. And I mean, it's getting to a point that we look at our politics as it's not, I don't even want to say politics, our social climate as it's something that's not tangible. I mean, it's way more approachable than you think. So make that information clear with your local politics. I mean, get involved. Coronavirus, that doesn't matter. They got school board meetings on live stream. I think there's about to be a meeting for what was it called? The racial bias audit for downtown police and their new ticketing measures. That's pretty important. And I mean, even when you look at something like that, Walter Scott happened when? 2015? Well, now 2021. City of Charleston is now getting around to that. Then we got to ask ourselves, why North Charleston not making the move? I don't know. There's going to be 1,000,001 excuses, but things could be immediately done. So, I mean, going forward, don't act stupid. And I mean, there's really 3 kinds of people going on right now. 3 kinds of people. There's people who were just disheartened all 4 years and really didn't care. It was kind of like being a spectator and just waiting that there's another great hope coming up. I'm going to keep it real with you. I felt the burn. All right. I like Bernie Sanders. Okay. And I mean, I was looking 4 years ago. I was like, all right, next election, he probably got it. But in that meantime, I'm like, well, let me see what the heck is going on. So that way, when he comes back into run or the next election, I can see what's going on. On top of that, my bad. Am I talking too much?
Nah, you good. I was gonna let you. I was gonna let you cook. You cooking. So I was gonna let you.
All right, then. Be deeply involved with locals. There's 3 types of people. People who's disheartened. You got people that's just going to be seasonal. This is America, man. I mean, our biggest temples and religion probably to me is probably football. That's why we treat elections and everything else like sport teams. And we got these bipartisan politics. I mean, we just got people come up seasonally. Then we got people that's just people who are really involved and really want to do it, but the work, I mean, the harvest is plenty, but the workers is few. I'm chopping up a Bible verse right now. If you know what it is, you feel me. And it seems like it's insurmountable odds. And I tell people this a lot. Charleston, we got a huge luxury. This is still a small city going through a huge growing phase. We got the luxury of brothers like you putting on platforms like this. We're in the vicinity that we could drive to meet each other if you cool with each other like that to build. There's not a whole lot of bureaucracy or just millions of bodies we got to go through to speak to somebody. We got these relationships and we got these connections. And I mean, us as Black men, Black people, or just our neighbors who love us and likes to advocate for us, we got to keep these channels of communications open somehow. To just because you see how many people there are doing work, but then you see how few connections these people got for whatever reason. And my opinion, that's something you just got to pray for a lot. I mean, so going forward, pray be involved, don't be oblivious, and most importantly, be informed. This is the age of information. I mean, like Trump or not, something that he brought up to us is fake news, looking up misinformation, and actually people saying, hey, let me actually look up what these people got to say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not just going off of headline that we see right there or just whatever news see, whatever. We know that we got these in our hand. We can just Google something, look, make sure it's from a reliable, credible source.
Yeah, true.
But going forward, I expect more out of people.
Yeah.
Optimistically, I have high expectations. For people I love, I always got high expectations. But realistically, I got to keep a prayerful mindset and don't set them too high because I don't want to get disappointed. And say, oh, well, let me just go do me. And just be the person, well, as long as me and mine good.
Right.
Like it or not, we're all in this community together. I know we all may have different opinions about maybe a racist police, but if this is allegedly true or whatever, that overwhelming that we see, if you look like me, you're probably going to be in the same position as me. If your child goes to the same school district and these certain policies is being passed to not fund these particular schools, yeah, you need to be involved with that. And I mean, coronavirus happened. This is another huge blunder of Trump. I don't like the way he handled coronavirus. The amount of disparity that you see with kids in certain school districts, or even in the same school districts in certain schools, how quickly some schools were able to announce they was closing down and send every child home with the appropriate Chromebook or whatever tools that they needed to log into class efficiently. I mean, you can say anything about ultimately it's going to be up to the parents, but real talk, some of these schools don't even got some of the resources to provide these kids. And I mean, another big thing people talk about coronavirus exposes down, I don't know, minimum wage essential workers. And I mean, this is just, I'm not trying to sound like a Marxist or communist, but we got to keep it real. I work at XYZ entry-level job or whatever. I get paid less than $10 an hour. You're telling me the whole country is facing a pandemic. All these other places closed down. But me, you know, I'm making below the poverty line. You're saying I'm essential and I have to go to work and I'm already living behind the poverty line in America. Like, if you study like Roman society or like things such as that, that's only like 2 or 3 steps up from the Roman system of slavery. And he's saying, yeah, you're essential. We know you ain't rich, you really can't afford this, but you gotta go to work. I mean, coronavirus came and just really, I won't say hit a reset button in America. And there's a lot of things that a lot of people need to not even need to realize, should have realized and have realized. And I mean, what's that movie? Was it Ice Cube and Boys in the Hood? He used to say either they don't know or they don't
show. Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people gotta keep it real. Some people, a lot of people who I know didn't care 3 years ago, they quickly began to care when coronavirus happened, and they see a lot of things began to hit home. And you basically see a lot of our elected officials blocking things such as economic relief to people who ain't working, things of that nature. And I mean, it's kind of too late because you had that chance to vote for that person or not. So I mean, pay attention to that going forward. And I mean, another thing is Georgia, we had an excellent example of Stacey Abrams and just all the grassroots activity going on. But I mean, this is a nationwide thing. I also think should be a country thing or whatever. The first time Trump won, he didn't spend nowhere near as much money as Hillary Clinton, and he still won. That's kind of mind-boggling. I mean, I'm not saying that like I'm glad it happened, but it's impressive. Likewise, in South Carolina, a few months ago, you got, I mean, If you didn't see a Jamie Harrison advertisement, either you ain't had the internet or you didn't get no mail for about 6 or 7 months. We see how much money that they spend into it, how much they put into it. And I mean, all those funds is poured into one person, but they still did not get out and win. And I mean, you really got to ask yourselves these questions. I mean, activism, we say activism like it's some type of big word or position that somebody needs to be a part of, or some type of alter ego that you got during the day or nighttime with free time. But activism could be something simple as you going to vote and you taking your neighbor, your mama, or somebody with you along, whatever. And I mean, things is way too accessible. And I mean, we won. I'm not gonna say we, because I ain't a Democrat, I don't claim parties, whatever, but Democrats won because of mail-in ballots. I mean, I keep it real. I got 2 mail-in ballots. I don't even want to talk about that. I actually went in person to vote. But you was able to vote via mail, but Jamie Harrison still lost. Something's not adding up. I'm not saying no fraud, nothing, but like on individual wise, people need to get more active or whatever. And I mean, there's scores of people in Charleston doing it, but I mean, I can't wait till I see scores more people doing it. Praise God.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Hey, dude, you gave me you came in, you closed it out, man. You came in, you closed it out, man. I appreciate that, yo. You made David proud. Oh man, like
I'm sure he'll hear this.
For real. Yeah, I'm sure he will. You did that. You definitely expressed yourself well, and I appreciate you. I appreciate young brothers like yourself, man, who have, you know, the mindset and the willingness to share your knowledge, because there's too much ignorance in our young people, and that's a conversation that we can have another day. And I think there's a lot of ignorance because we, as the elders, don't put trust in the younger people and tell them that their voice matters and that their voice has value. So I want to encourage the value of your voice, and I want to like link with you, and I want to see where this thing goes with you, because you could definitely have a future. You definitely have a future, and I love seeing it in you. I like this. This is good. And I already see Brandon saying you're a teacher. He said we got a lot in common, so we definitely need to link. And get some coffee or something like that and chop it up. But man, thank you so much for joining me, man. I appreciate you, bro. Like I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it too.
Any parting thoughts?
We vote for people. We don't vote for policies, bills, and mandates. I mean, we got to get involved. Only thing is, we're going to just keep voting and hoping they do what they told us they was going to do.
Right.
Be safe. If you plan on going out protesting or something, be extra safe. Take a buddy. Be prepared.
And a coat.
If you plan on being involved with the youth, get with brothers like Ray Jean. I mean, we live in a small world, but our pool of people is way bigger than you think it is.
Let's cook all day, man. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and remove you from the screen, but I appreciate you, bro, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, black man.
Yes, sir, black man. Listen, that's everybody for the night, man. I got everybody with my music. I got everybody in. Everybody who wanted to come on. I hope the vibe was the vibe, man. I hope that what I endeavored to do tonight over the last 3 hours was done. I hope people got to feel things. I hope people were able to express themselves and really feel and open up. I hope you learned something. I hope you heard somebody's perspective that maybe you didn't consider prior to this. I hope that you have hope for the future. Whatever it is that you need, I hope you came listening to this. Whatever you walked into the day with, I hope that it's better. I believe in tomorrow. I believe in our people. I believe in America. I believe in this country. I believe in our greatness. I believe, and I will always believe until God calls me home. Because if a man doesn't stand for something, he's bound to fall for anything. And that's real talk. I will see y'all tomorrow, believe it or not. I really will. Peace.